Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey everybody, it's the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on a Tuesday, along with Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell. I'm Adam the Bull.
And I can talk again.
Oh yeah,
I'm one tooth less, but it didn't stop me one
Just
bit.
one?
Just one. They didn't pull two. They only pulled one because the other one was so far up in my gums that they would have had to go through the bone. And then he said if I pull it, he said it could affect my sinuses. So when he said he wasn't pulling that one, I said, well, we can get the other one out because the other one was the one I was worried about the most. But yeah, everything was good. I was knocked out for a good
have we posted
2-3
that picture
hours
on the show?
I think we need like HIPAA clearance to post
They
that.
don't want to see that.
We got Mike, Steve, Earl, and Anthony all behind the glass. We got a picture from Tyvis over the weekend, I think.
I lost.
Where he was in the car, like basically passed out. His wife took a picture. He didn't even know. What I don't understand is what is going on that Tyvis was allowed to leave the hospital when he wasn't even functioning.
I got up and walked.
Yeah, but you don't even remember.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
That's how it works.
I
But
thought they don't let you go till you know what the hell's going on.
Have you seen the insurance companies today?
Oh my
They
God!
throw you out during the surgeries.
I do remember them saying, "Get up and walk to the car," and I remember getting up and physically walking. But that was it. I don't remember like getting to the car and walking through the door and all of that.
Did you walk out of the car to bed?
No, see, that's the thing. When I got home, when the car pulled in the garage and my wife did that, she's ridiculous for taking that picture, first of all.
That's a great picture.
I did the same thing. Unless you had surgery and I got the
Why
same
would she
picture.
do me like that,
Oh, I got
first
the
of
same
all?
one.
Yeah.
So when I remember getting up and walking in the house, and I was fine from that moment.
Okay. Oh, then you were.
But
right.
yeah, that was the nap that
you
I
don't
needed.
remember the car ride.
I don't remember the car ride.
How long
none
was
of
the
that.
car ride?
The car ride, it's like 15 minutes from my house.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Man, I remember one time I had a procedure done. This is a couple of years ago here, and when I woke up from being knocked out, I was kind of high, still, and my wife reminded me of this because I only half remember it, but apparently on the loudspeaker they were like paging Dr. Trilla, and so I started singing. It's Dr. Trilla, Trill the night. And I was just singing that so the whole hospital ward could hear. And I remember a little bit, but my wife was like, it was the funniest thing. Yeah. But some people were not happy because they were in suffering pain. And here's me, some lunatic singing Dr. Trilla.
It's some good stuff. I never want to do it again. I'm cool. I don't know how people get blacked out, drunk, and all those things. I'm cool. It's scary.
All right, we got a lot to get to today. Today is the anniversary of my birth. I said I was going to give myself credit for my birthday credit. It's also more importantly because I don't care that much about my birthday.
Way more importantly.
What's that?
Way more important.
Way more importantly, it's AJ's birthday.
AJ's birthday.
Jason's son, he's 14.
14.
Man.
Looks like he's
14.
37.
He talks like this. He's got the deepest voice.
Is he at that age where he think he can take you?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell both my boys, old man strength is real. Don't be stepping this way.
Yeah.
That grown man strength.
So happy birthday to AJ.
And Bull.
There you go.
Did I tell you guys? I think I put it on the text chain. We played Westlake last week in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And they go through the line and they're slapping good game, good game.
Yeah.
And one of the kids told AJ, good game, stop taking steroids. Because he's enormous and he talks like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just absurd. It is also the 50th anniversary of 10-cent beer night.
And Mike asked if I was there.
Yeah, exactly.
He said right before the
He
show,
wasn't even born.
Are you old
Mike.
enough? Were you covering that?
I mean, listen.
It was my third birthday. Jay was 7 or 8.
You know who was
Steve
there?
was there.
Somebody
Maybe
Steve
watched it.
Steve was there.
I was -2.
Steve was there wearing a suit and a top hat and a cane.
Listen, I asked that to Jason because if anyone would have been like 4 years old pounding beers on 10-cent beer night with a dime that he found on the street, it would be Jason Lloyd.
I guess it would be. That's fair, but still,
I think that's very accurate.
That is accurate, but he wasn't born yet, so unless his mom was getting wasted and then he was in the belly. I don't know.
She don't touch the stuff.
No, not at all. All right, good for her. So anyway, we'll talk about that later. We will get to the Browns being plus money to make the playoffs. Is that fair or foul? But we start with the Guardians, who begin a big 3-game set at home with Kansas City tonight. Mikey McNuggets.
Yeah, we're going to get into it. We got a lot to come up with, and we have a special guest to give us a little history lesson on the 10-cent beer night, which I'm very excited to see.
Shawn Merriman later
how that
today,
goes,
too.
plus Shawn Merriman. Big show for you guys, and as always, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is sponsored by FanDuel. It is winner-take-all time in the NBA and NHL, and right now, FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And tonight, Paul, we finally get to see it. Guardians, Royals, the two best teams in the AL Central, squaring off for the first time this season. Two teams that have overachieved compared to their preseason expectations. And we got a hell of a pitching matchup set for tonight. Lugo, McKenzie, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, you have to actually give the Royals the edge in this pitching matchup today because Seth Lugo's, McKenzie's been fine, but Seth Lugo's been fantastic. Both teams have played great, as you said. At the moment, the Guardians are 39-20, which is good for the best record. Not the best record,
third
best record behind the Yankees and Baltimore. My eyes are failing me here. And then Kansas City has the fourth best record. They're 4 games back of the Guardians. Both teams around the same numbers in terms of run differential. The Guardians plus 78. The Royals plus 74. Similar home and road splits, too. The Guardians are 13 games over 500 at home and 6 over on the road. The Royals, 20, a little different. Royals, 12 over at home and 1 under on the road. But the Royals have shown to be a pretty good team, and I think in the end they'll drop off a little bit, but they're definitely a lot better than some people thought. I thought they'd be decent, not this good, but they've been pretty consistent. I mean, we're past the 1/3 point of the season. We're 3 weeks away from the halfway point of the season. So I think any team that's as many games over 500 as the Royals are have to be taken seriously. Doesn't mean they can't fall apart, but it's a big series and a big game tonight with the Guardians have had 2 days off in the last 5 days, which they kind of needed.
Yeah.
But now Stephen Kwan should be back in the lineup every day after going 4 for 8 over the weekend. He's hitting over 360. And but let's start with the pitching matchup, guys, or whatever you want to jump in on. Go ahead.
I mean, for me, I'm excited for it because I thought both of them hit their stride the same. When the Guardians went on their 9 games in a row, they couldn't get no room on the Royals because they were taking off at the same thing. I think they went 8-1 on that in that same span. So it's nice to see these guys go head to head. It's going to be really good baseball. Obviously, both teams is playing at a high level right now. I think Kansas City struggled with the Padres. I think they lost 2 of the 3, I want to say, against the Padres. So they're going to be fired up to try to get back on. And anytime you got that head-to-head right there in your same division, that you want to get those wins. So they're going to be playing their A game. Want to see what Tristan McKenzie does in this one. Gave up, two homers the last time he was on the mound?
Yeah,
so
5 in his last 2 starts.
So he's got to get this thing going and keep these things. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, though. I think both pitchers is going to try to pitch a really good game, and should be a really good series.
And for McKenzie, the batters you're keeping an eye on here, obviously the superstar youngster Bobby Witt Jr., who's been everything they could have hoped for the Royals. Then the old veteran, Salvador Perez, who...
He's having a monster.
I mean, the guy's just... he's going to be a Hall of Famer, I think, right?
Yeah, probably. He's got to be, 34 now?
I mean, he's still as good a hitter as any catcher in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Great power. He's a great leader on that team. And then the third guy who was hurt last year is Vinny Pasquantino. He's a really good player, too. So they got a dangerous lineup.
And Michael Garcia, their leadoff batter.
Yeah, he's done a nice job.
Yeah, he's emerged this year.
Yeah.
With McKenzie, the fear is the margin of error with him is so thin right now. And you've seen that with the home runs. Like, if he's just off a little bit because the velo's down a little bit because maybe he doesn't have the command that he did pre-injury, he's going to get hit. And so Seth Lugo's kind of come out of nowhere this year. He's a long-time vet, probably been in the league 10 years or so, never put up numbers like this. Like, this is absurd.
He's had a couple. Well, here's the thing. Like, he originally came up with the Mets and was with the Mets for most of his career. And he always wanted to be a starter. They never really let him. I mean, he was a starter occasionally, but they never really let him establish himself as a starter. He pitched mostly out of the pen, had a couple of solid years. And then last year, I can't remember who he was pitching for. I want to say, maybe was it Washington?
San Diego.
I don't know. I don't remember now. What was it?
San Diego.
San Diego, right. Thank you, Mike. And he had a decent year with San Diego, but so far he's been absolutely lights out. He's been as good as almost any pitcher in the American League. And he's got to be top 5 for Cy Young right now.
Oh, yeah. And, obviously their owner came from Cleveland in John Sherman.
Yeah.
And a lot of their coaches have ties back to Cleveland, one form or another, and their pitching coach has ties back here, Brian Sweeney. And I'm telling you, the Royals are another one of those teams. The Royals are like the Rays and the Mariners and the Guardians and how they develop pitching. And something's going. I said all the time, something's going on in Tampa Bay with the pitching. Something's going on in Kansas City with the pitching. The way that they trade for Cole Reagans, who's a nothing lefty reliever who throws hard.
Nah, he hadn't pitched that long.
But I'm saying, like,
fair,
Texas gave him up
for nothing.
For
Yeah.
Aroldis Chapman for rental. And Kansas City turns him into one of the most dominant left-handers in the game.
Right.
Chris Bubich is coming back from Tommy John in probably another week or two. He's one of those guys that was just a young prospect, got hit around a lot, and then last year started throwing the slider more and just exploded. Now he got hurt early in the year.
Yeah.
But Seth Lugo is another example of a guy who kind of a journeyman and all of a sudden lands in Kansas City and puts up monster numbers. Something's going on in Kansas City. I'm not saying anything illicit, but I'm just saying they've sort of figured something out. The way that they have these guys pitching, they're taking these guys that haven't had a ton of success previously, and they're sort of molding them into little mini monsters here. So it'll be a good series. It'll be a fun series.
Yeah, no doubt. Even Michael Wacha, who is kind of bounced back, although he's hurt now, but he's not going to pitch in the series. Tomorrow, it's Brady Singer against Logan Allen.
Singer's another guy. Prospect got banged around, having a monster year.
Yes, and then Tanner Bybee's pitching on Thursday. The Royals, I don't think have announced their starter yet for the Thursday game, but it's an opportunity. If the Guardians sweep this series,
it means something to me.
they'll have at least the Royals will be 7 games out, and the Twins will be at least 6. We don't. The Twins, I think, are playing the Yankees. I believe. Double check that I'm right on that, Mike. I think the Twins are playing the Yankees these next 3 days. And the Twins, as we know, never beat the Yankees. So if the Guardians somehow sweep this series, I say somehow as if that would be impossible. It actually is not crazy at all. But if they did, they'll probably have a 7-game lead in the division at least. Well, over Kansas City, and then potentially even more against Minnesota. So now, on the other hand, Kansas City comes in here and sweeps the Guardians. Now it's a one game on. You got a 1-game division. More than likely, it ends up a 2-1 one way or the other.
Is the game here?
Yes. 3 games are here. Yep, they'll play 6:40 or whatever. Is that what they play? 6:40.
6:40 tonight.
Yeah, 6:40, and I think a 1:00 game on Thursday. I'm thinking about going to the Thursday game. Anybody else want to go after the show?
That's a good idea. 1:00 and go right to the game.
Yeah.
I can talk myself into that.
I would love to, but I have to work in Columbus.
Well, what kind of nonsense is that? Tell them to stick it. I mean, priorities, Tyvis. We have a fun time at the ball game, man. We want you there. Jason?
I think we're doing. I'm a maybe. I think we're celebrating.
I guess we should have to figure out plans.
Tell them to stick it.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, speaking of this weekend, I tried a new pizzeria in town, Sense Pizza. It's in like the Detroit Shoreway area.
I've heard it's pretty good.
It's a solid pizzeria. Definitely makes my top 5 Northeast Ohio pizzeria or Cleveland.
What's it called?
Pizzerias. Sense, Cents. It's on Detroit. It's on like west.
It's West 25th
50th or something.
Wouldn't you want it to be SCENTS? Like sense?
I have no. I think it's like I know. Maybe I don't know. It's spelled CENTS. It was a nice place, good atmosphere.
Like a missed opportunity.
Although it was funny, we walk in. Most people that were there I think we went on Saturday, and most people were sitting. They have a back area outdoors, but all the shady spots were filled. So I don't want to sit in the sun. So
you get your pizza, you eat it there. You're not a gift.
Well, I mean, sometimes I take it to go, but To me, food tastes better in the restaurant.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I don't know the last time I sat down in a pizzeria and ate the pizza in the pizzeria. Yeah, it's been
crazy to me.
It's been a while.
We'll have to go. So this place. But the funny thing is, in the one room that I was sitting and eating, when we first got in there, they had like a little mini disco ball, like with the lights flashing. And I said to the guy, "Can you shut off this disco ball?" First of all, we were the only ones in the room. And I'm like, I don't want to sit. I have light sensitivity in my eyes.
You weren't feeling it?
I'm trying to eat pizza. I don't want to have the disco ball like flapping around. The guy looked at me like I was like it was the craziest question he's ever been asked in his life. But they shut off the disco ball. The food was very good. Everything else was great.
They turn it back on as soon as you left.
The second I left, they turned the disco ball back on, I'm sure. Because who doesn't want a disco ball shining in your eyes while you're eating? But getting back to this series, another thing I'm curious about, the crowds have been pretty good, guys. And usually when the Guardians are surprisingly good, it takes a while for the crowds to come around and get bigger. I feel like it doesn't happen a lot of times till late in the summer or the fall. Now, I think when Zach and I did the Ultimate Cleveland Guardians show yesterday, I think part of it is this is the first time in a while that the Guardians have been this good this early. Right? Now, I mean, this is their best start to a season since '95, I believe. Right?
I think it's earlier than that. I mean, it depends on how you want to
Right. But
you know what else it is?
Really, in the last 70 years, this is like their second best start, probably.
You want to know why
right
a lot of people are attending the game?
Go ahead.
Because they hitting home runs. Where they at, McNuggets?
I think
they're home runs
that's
right
part
there.
of it.
I'm just saying.
That's part of it.
It's also been great weather.
It's been great weather.
That's the key.
But that's fine. The weather's fine. But it's something about the ball just traveling out the park.
Tyvis, they're tied for 10th.
You know what? Tyvis is right. The casual fan likes home runs. Casual fans like home runs.
Yeah, they do. But that's not why they're coming out.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Look.
And
look.
They don't look. They don't look at it and go, "Oh, the Guardians are tied for 10th. Let's go to the park."
You got an opportunity to catch a home run.
Yeah.
How many people can say that they caught a home run ball?
Well, it's only the people sitting in the bleachers in center and right.
You never know. Somebody might pull one.
By the way,
I think it's the weather and the hot start.
I saw a clip from 92.3 The Fan where they were shockingly talking baseball. I didn't know they ever talked baseball on my old station. But Ken and Lima were talking.
Passive aggressiveness is real.
That's not passive aggressive.
That's aggressive.
That's aggressive. But Lima, who is, even though he's married now with kids, I still think is by far the hippest guy on 92.3 The Fan. Is that fair to say?
When I'm not on.
When Jason's not on, of course. And Lima was talking about how Saturday night was the place to be.
I don't know if Lima's ever had a warrant out for him. Although he probably has.
What are you talking about here? He was talking about Saturday night was the place to be. There were a lot of people, the bars there, and it was like happening over the weekend. Normally, early June before school ends, because most people still have school. Some schools are done, but I know my son's school still is this week, and I know a lot of people still have one more week of school. Normally, a midweek series against the Kansas City Royals in the first week of June is like 13,000 a game.
Yes.
But I think it's going to be a lot bigger than that. Now, there's some rain in the forecast, I think, tomorrow and Thursday. We'll see, what happens. But I think the crowd's going to be pretty big.
Yeah.
And fans are into it right now.
I think they've done a nice job the last couple of years of getting creative with some of their ticket pricing and getting people into the gate. It doesn't mean...
Do they still got that standing room for $50
Yes.
a month? I think that's what
I don't know the exact price, but they do have standing room.
Yeah, I don't know.
That
passes.
was because when they came out with that deal, I would have took that deal. It was like $49.95 for a month.
Every single person I know has that deal.
See,
Every single person.
Yeah.
You can't get them anymore. It is sold out. It's the best marketing ploy the
That's a
Guardians
great
have
deal.
done. It is an incredible deal.
I mean, you average what? 15 games a month at home, probably.
Yeah, you go to 5, it's $10 a ticket.
Yeah, I mean,
Go to
that's
10,
a great
it's $5
deal.
a ticket.
I don't know that it
but
adds...
ticket is $10. Man, I ain't been to a game in a while.
It doesn't really...
No. If it's $50, Ty, I'm saying. You pay
Oh,
$50,
okay, I
you
got
have to
you.
do
I
the
got
math.
you.
It doesn't really add a lot of revenue. Like if you look at the total attendance,
Right.
that doesn't translate to what the revenue should be. but it's still getting people into the park. They're still spending concessions. They're still probably buying a hat or a shirt or something. So you're still making money off of them. It's just that initial ticket investment. Probably they're not getting the bang for the buck on it.
Yeah, but there's something to be said for it helping the team.
Oh,
when
sure.
the crowd's got energy and they're into
and
the
the place
game.
is full. Like, who wants to play in front of a stadium that's
I know.
half full
You don't
and
want
people are on their phones and they're more worried about the beer than they are what's going on in the field?
Yeah.
It can be Progressive Field can be the worst environment in Cleveland, and it can be the best.
Yeah.
It like truly, it can be. I've been there on nights where it's just miserable.
Oh God,
it's cold, it's miserable. There's nobody there. And
wasn't you there for the eclipse?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
And then I've been there when that place is. I mean, when Rajay Davis hits the grand slam and the press box is literally shaking. I remember
it's
cool.
The first playoff game I went to at Progressive Field was when they played the Rays in the wild card game.
Yeah.
And Danny Salazar was the starting pitcher for the Guardians. They lost that game, but the energy in the crowd. I remember in what year was it? Was it that year? I can't remember. What was the year where Giambi hit a walk-off homer?
That was during the long winning streak, wasn't it?
No, that was at the end of the year. Well, it was a long winning streak. It was at the end of the year. They needed to win like every game to make the playoffs at the end of the year. I can't remember now. It was before 2016. I can't remember what year it was, but it wasn't even that big a crowd. It was probably like 20,000 people there.
Yeah.
But Giambi hit this walk-off home run. Everybody was going bonkers.
Yeah.
It was an awesome night.
I remember that night.
Go ahead, Mike.
I hope I make it to a game.
We got another Guardians topic we're going to get in here before we welcome in our guest to help us recap the 50th anniversary of 10-cent beer night. And this came from a super chat yesterday. So if you have a super chat, we appreciate all super chats. If you're in the chat, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It costs you $0.00. And this next topic, Bull, came from a Professor Chaos super chat. And we only had 30 seconds to get to it last night. I said, you know what? This is too good of a topic to do in 30 seconds. So I want to ask you guys. Emmanuel Clase and Jose Ramirez both had tremendous Mays. Clase didn't allow a single run. Jose was tied with Aaron Judge, first or second in every major offensive category. So if you had to pick between those two, Clase or Jose Ramirez, which Guardian would you say had the better month of May?
I mean, to me, it's not close.
It's
Jose.
easy, yes.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you were going to go the other way on it. No.
I mean,
yeah.
As great as Clase did, I mean, he's not impacting the game
That's what I was
the same way that Jose is. Yeah. Jose's doing. I know he didn't have a great game every single day, but it kind of felt like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he probably had a couple of games, but like he probably had 20 great days the whole month. Clase's only got to do it again. Not to diminish what he's done, but he's only got to do it.
3 outs.
3 outs a couple times a week at most. He pitched 13 innings over the month, and the guy, you can't ask for better than he did.
Correct.
But I can't compare the greatness of a closer versus the greatness of a hitter. It's phenomenal. It's as good as you can get.
That's ridiculous, actually.
Oh, it is.
It is. But put up Jose's numbers again for the month.
But that's also why a reliever should never win.
That's absurd.
I mean, look at that.
He had 11 home runs last month.
Yeah.
But that's also why a reliever should never win the Cy Young. He's pitching 1 inning.
Of course.
So,
yeah, it's all happened a few times and not recently.
But
the guy had 33 ribbies.
Probably the 80s.
33 ribbies in a month.
Yeah.
That's on pace for 200.
Is he still first place in the AL for ribbies?
First place in Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
excuse me.
33 ribbies. And remember, Stephen Kwan did not play
missed that month.
Missed almost the whole month. I don't know when he first went on the IL.
Basically missed the whole month.
Basically missed the whole month. You had the best leadoff hitter in baseball who bats just ahead of Ramirez, missed the whole month. He still knocked in 33 runs. That's crazy. It really is. I mean, and he had 31 hits. But it's amazing he had more ribbies than hits.
And he
a lot of home runs.
And he said he was better than Barry.
So he said he was better than Barry.
So there
Good
we
for
go.
him. So, I don't think there's any argument here, Mike. It's got to be Jose. Again, Clase was fantastic. But it's harder to be great for a month as a hitter than it is to be as a closer.
It was a great month for Jose because I found out on record that he speaks perfectly good English.
How'd you find that out on record?
Well, that's what they said in the article. In perfectly good English.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right.
Said he was better than Barry Bonds. Great month for Jose.
Yeah. I think Jose just, it's when he talks to the media, he never speaks English.
No.
Which makes me laugh. Yeah. I just.
But,
although he did in that case, but go ahead.
But look what happened with the reliever from the Mets.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that That's why.
That's all. Hey, listen, it's
you knew what he said though. They just took what they wanted to hear.
No, well,
I heard what he said.
I don't think anybody there intentionally misunderstood what he said.
No.
And for those that don't know, he said
Jorge Lopez
said it was he said he looked like the worst effing teammate.
Yeah.
But what got reported was he was on the worst effing team.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's doing his best to.
Yeah.
It's not his first language.
He meant teammate.
Yeah.
But he said team.
But I think he said teammate. I think you heard the mate. But anyway.
Yeah, I heard the teammate.
But that's why a lot of these guys, I don't blame them. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I would it'd be much easier to talk one-on-one. It's when you go through an interpreter, you lose a lot of the casualness of a conversation.
Right.
And half the time, I think the interpreter is telling you what they want you to say, not necessarily what he actually said.
That's the part that I think. Like, is he really saying that?
Yeah.
Or
You know
are you cleaning it up?
You know what's always funny with the interpreters too is how do they remember? Like, 'cause sometimes those questions are like 30 seconds, and then he repeats the
They're
question.
just summing it up.
Yeah,
They're not going word for word. And what else about those
Yeah.
interpreters? They're stealing millions of money, millions of dollars from these guys, and they don't even know it.
Let me just try to real quick. I agree it's Jose. I agree the answer is Jose. Can I just make a case?
No.
You can't, but you can
No,
try.
let me just give you what the case would be.
Go ahead.
I agree the answer is Jose.
Yeah.
Jose, as you said, played more games, played way more innings. Overall, his numbers look better. But when you look at what Clase did, 13 innings pitched, 8 hits, 1 walk, 14 strikeouts. It is hard to be better at what you're asked to do. And you can only control what you are asked to do.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard to be better. And actually, I say hard. I think it's almost impossible to be better than Emmanuel Clase was in the month of May at what he was specifically asked to do. And because of that, not saying we're shortchanging him. I think we all gave him the appropriate amount of credit. But he was damn near flawless through the entire month.
Yeah.
Well, Jose did have a couple ups and downs, and you can only control what you can control. Emmanuel isn't pitching 9 innings a game. He only comes in when the situation is appropriate. But those numbers, and it's a microcosm of his entire season because he's been spectacular the entire year, it is hard to pitch better in that role than Emmanuel Clase did in May. And I agree Jose's the right answer.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure we are highlighting and giving kudos where kudos is due.
I don't think there's any doubt
Clase
about
was
it. I mean,
incredible.
he is one of the most important players on the Guardians. For those who don't know baseball well, and Jason, you know this, when you have a closer that can't get it done, it kills the whole team.
It's devastating.
It kills the whole team because you start to get into a mode where you feel like, doesn't matter what we do, we're gonna blow it late. And from the opposite side of that, the Guardians players, they play every game knowing if we have the lead, it's over.
It's an 8-inning game.
That's it. And to some degree, the Guardians have made it less than that because Hunter Gaddis, especially, is becoming. I mean, obviously Cade Smith and some of these other guys, but I think Hunter Gaddis. It's funny. I happened to be watching MLB Network last night. I put it on for 5 minutes, and I happened to see this, and they were ranking the top 9 rookies. Or whoever was hosting was saying, these are my top 9 rookies so far this season.
Couldn't do 10?
He decided to do 9. I don't know why he did 9. But anyway, one of the 9, I think number 5 on the list was Hunter Gaddis. And I forgot he was even still a rookie.
He's classified as a rookie?
What's that?
I didn't realize he was even classified as a rookie.
It seems like he pitched quite a bit last year, but he was up and down a lot.
Yeah, he didn't pitch enough. So
more down than up, I guess.
So anyway, and I'm like, you know what? He has been a damn good rookie. I mean, he's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Should have picked him as your bold prediction.
You should have picked David Fry, and you shouldn't have cut David Fry.
I know. I actually have Hunter Gaddis on my fantasy team, too, and I use him. But I cut David Fry. It was the only mistake I've made all year.
That?
You can't be perfect, Tyvis. I'm like 99% this year in fantasy baseball.
Well, you cut him. Did somebody like pick him up immediately?
You can't do that. You got to wait a couple of days. But yeah, somebody did pick him up.
All right, guys, it is June 4th. It is Bull's birthday. It is AJ's birthday. It is also the 50th anniversary of 10-cent beer night for the Cleveland Guardians. We're going to bring in a guest who knows more about the history of 10-cent beer night than any of us, and we're excited to talk to him after a quick word from Game Time. If you're looking to go to an NBA Finals game this season, think about how cool it would be to be sitting courtside for the Celtics and Mavericks, whether it's in Boston or Dallas. And if you have the extra cash to spend and want to make that a reality, Game Time makes getting NBA's Finals tickets even faster and easier. Plus, prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets gets to tip-off with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Game Time helps you customize with key features that resonate with you, the buyer, to make your online buying experience as easy as possible. They have priority last-minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, all in pricing. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you hit purchase, plus their lowest price guarantee. Make sure you get the best deal available, and if you can find a lower ticket, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. And with that, let's welcome in to the show Eric Olson, the creator of Heading for Home, a 10-cent beer night odyssey, which is a docudrama going through the incredible history of 10-cent beer night here in Cleveland. Eric, thrilled to have you join the show, and thrilled to have you, the expert on 10-cent beer night, on the 50th anniversary of that crazy, wild event.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. What a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be on the show. I was watching all kinds of clips going backwards in time. You guys are amazing. My son-in-law, Joe, is the biggest fan that ever was of your show. Nice. And he follows religiously. And he's the one who said, man, you got to get on with these guys because they are the bomb. And what a great year to be following the Guardians. Man, I am so excited because who expected this? No one. You know, I mean, if you'd have picked them to be where they are now, you would be way up. And so I'm very excited to be here, very excited to be talking about it. I like that picture of me. I was younger then.
Eric, and we appreciate you joining us, and thank you. And thank you to your son-in-law for being such a big fan. We really appreciate that. I'm curious, first of all, what was the normal, like, we know what the beer prices are now at the ballpark, but in 1974, what were the beer prices then? Because 10 cents sounds like insane, but I don't know, what was a beer costing in those days?
I think more like 50 cents.
Okay.
And I think you had a range probably from about a quarter up to $1, depending maybe on the stadium and what was going on. But yeah, I mean, it is 50 years ago, and we've had a bit of inflation. It's not only normal inflation, but as you know, everything in entertainment, not just sports, but has gone up way more than inflation has. Right. Because being there is the big deal now. That's what distinguishes. It's being there, you know, attending it. So yeah, it's an amazing thing. The prelude to it was a week before, 5 days before, there was a game between the same two teams, Rangers and then at the time Indians. And by the way, I have no problems whatsoever with the change over to Guardians. Totally get it. Makes sense. We do not want to offend people unnecessarily, and the time had come. But at the time, they were the Indians. So there was a game before in Texas, 5 days before, and a big brawl broke out. Lenny Randall, who was really a trouble causer, he was a player in the mold of Billy Martin, who was their manager. And he ran right. He laid down a drag bunt, slammed into the pitcher, Milt Wilcox. All kinds of hell broke loose. And then the fans, the Ranger fans, started throwing beer and hot dog and coins and everything, and they just really disrespected the Indians. So this was the lead up to it. All that next week, Pete Franklin, I'm sure you guys remember Pete Franklin. Of course. He was on the air. He was the kind of the original sports talk host, and he was just beating on this. Talk about different time. The day of the game, which was, of course, Tuesday, June 4th, 1974, there's a picture, there's a cartoon in the Press, which was the other paper at the time. Imagine having two daily newspapers. Who can imagine such a thing in 2024? But there's a picture of Chief Wahoo with boxing gloves, right? Yeah. And the caption is you know, bring your gloves, be ready to fight. So there was instigating all week long. So people were already revved up. Add to that the 10-cent beer night. Add to that while ostensibly there was a limit of 6 beers per customer, I don't think that was terribly well enforced. There was a zero, and I do mean zero, extra security for this. So you had about, they estimated maybe 10,000 extra fans who would not have been there if not for the promotion. Right. And most of them were not diehard Indians fans. They were kids, let's face it. At the time, the drinking age was 18 for 3.2 beer, and that's what they were serving. And so you had 18-plus-year-olds. So you had literally high school students, college students made up the majority of that 10,000 extra. And they weren't even particularly paying attention to the game. They were just drinking wildly. They wanted the Indians to smash the Rangers, and that was not happening during the game. The great Ferguson Jenkins, Hall of Fame, was pitching for the Rangers. He held the Indians until he was injured by a line drive off his ankle. And here's the tone of the crowd. A great future Hall of Famer gets hit in the shin with a line drive, and the crowd starts chanting, "Hit him again! Hit him again! Harder! Harder!" He was not respected at the time. Very sad. So they cart him off the field. And it's only escalating from there. You're getting streakers. As early as the second inning, a middle-aged, well-endowed woman wearing business attire shimmies out onto the field, blows kisses to the umpires, and then unloads her bouncy load. So people are like, wow, but that's going on. And man, she's not even young. She's like 50 years old, and she's flashed this. So you had streakers. This was the era of streakers. You had this one guy who looked like a football player, like a really muscular guy, and he's blown across the outfield, totally balls out naked, and they're chasing him. You got all these 250-pound security guards smoking, puffing, trying to chase him down across the outfield. I mean, it really was madness. There's explosives going off. I mean, not just little chains of firecrackers. I'm talking M80s. I'm talking seal controls. That's what they use in harbors to chase away the seals. So it's like, bam, bam, explosive. Puffs of smoke floating out across Lake Erie. I mean, it's astonishing. Oh, look, we got some pictures there. Yeah. So as the game goes on, it's just getting wilder and wilder. And the Indians get behind 5-2, so that's making the fans really surly. This was supposed to be the big beatdown game. We were supposed to be stomping on them because they're evil, and they're led by the evil Billy Martin, and it wasn't happening. But later in the game, the Indians catch up, and by the ninth inning, which is when really all hell broke loose, they tied the game at the bottom of the ninth, so it's 5-5. And that's part of why the game had not been called, because the umpire was Nestor Shylock, the head ump, and he was a real fan of the game. He was a real student of the game, and he didn't want to subject the Indians to that because they were coming back. And here we are. It's the ninth inning. It's tied 5-5, bottom of the ninth. They have a runner on third, 2 outs, and then my good pal, who we interviewed after the docudrama, which is 6 episodes, we have 2 interview episodes, and this is, again, heading for home. And I do want to, Matt, before I say what happened, I want to say we are so excited to have been picked up by the Evergreen Podcast Company based right here in Cleveland, Ohio. They're one of the largest independent podcast companies, in the world. 300 podcasts, all super professional. And so we have had the stamp of approval that they picked us up. And just today, the show is now available through Evergreen. All right, so it's the ninth inning. Very tense. The fans have been going crazy. They've been ripping the padding off of the off the fence, and the poor grounds crew have been trying to keep things going. They're kind of chasing them away like raccoons from a dumpster, and they're get out of here, and people have been running out onto the field. The Rangers were bombed out of their own bullpen by fans. The bullpens in that era at the old stadium were actually on the field. They were not behind the stands. So literally you could just drop explosives onto them. So, of course, that happened. All right, so it's the ninth. It is the ninth. We're ready to go. And my good pal, who had just been, check this out. He went to Richmond Heights. His name's Terry Yerkic. He had been state champion wrestler. And now he's a freshman at Cleveland State. For whatever reason, he says, I don't know. I don't know what overcame me. I don't know what possessed me. Perhaps it was the alcohol. He goes running out into right field, and he takes Jeff Burrows' hat. He's from behind him. Takes his hat off. Jeff Burrows, what's going on? He turns around. He attempts a flying karate kick. He falls flat on his butt. Billy Martin in the dugout could only see from about the waist up because of the plane of the field, right? So he thinks that poor Terry Jurkic has attacked his own player, Jeff Burrows, which didn't happen. He just took his hat. But he's down, so he goes, that's it, boys. I can't take anymore. This is it. You know, they've been bombed. They've been screamed at. They've had stuff thrown at them the entire game. Billy has had it. They run out, Rangers running out onto the field, fungo bats, armed. They're ready to go. Meanwhile, following Terry, all hell breaks loose. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fans run out onto the field, deranged, out of their minds. They're armed. They have ripped, literally, seats out of the concrete in the stadium, broken up the seats. They are armed with pieces, like jagged metal pieces. I'm going to kill you. All the rage that's been pent up. You know, Cleveland, the deindustrialization, the blah, 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 Kent State, the Vietnam War. It all sucks. We're going to kill you. So they're out running around, out of their minds. Meanwhile, the tribe goes, what do we do? Are we on our fan side or are we on the Rangers side? And they go, well, they're our brothers. They're professional baseball players. Who cares about all these drunken idiots running around from Cleveland? So they run out onto the field to defend the Rangers. Oh, my God, the infamy. How can this be? So you literally have hundreds, and some say more, even maybe more than 1,000, drunken, deranged, violent fans battling with not one, but two teams of Major League Baseball players. Everyone is armed. There's heads, bam, bam, bam. Everything's going crazy. It's going batshit. I don't know if I can say it. But anyway, so what is so astonishing and why we are celebrating this event today, right, versus hanging our heads is it is astonishing. It is a near miracle. There were angels hovering above the stadium because no one was killed. And no one was even severely injured. Imagine how we would think about the event if that had happened on a serious note. I mean, just think about it. That many drunken, deranged loons running around. All that would have had to have happened is someone to slip and fall on the concrete, hit their head, brains bashed out, they're dead. So it really is astonishing. So I will pause in my monologue and I will entertain questions from the stand.
I don't know what's left.
Well, we're out of time. Thanks.
Would they ever do it again?
No.
Do you think this could ever happen again?
They needed the promotions, right? Because the team was so bad for.
That's what I want to know.
The late 50s to the early 90s.
I want to know who was the first one that said, I know how to bring people to the ballpark.
Yeah.
Get them drunk for 10 cents. Who was that person?
Well, we don't want to name names. But here's what was going on. Everything you just said is right. The team had been bad. I think they'd had 2 seasons above 500 since 1960. Right? Yeah. And they were drawing more and more poorly. People didn't really like the stadium. It was great for football, but it was so huge, held 70-some thousand, right? And they were drawing 10, 15,000. I mean, normally at best. This game had 25,000. That's why it was really unusual that they had that kind of a crowd on a Tuesday. So yeah, they were just racking their brains. What do? We got to promote this. And it wasn't even just the Indians. Baseball in general, MLB in general, was down in the 70s. There was a lot of controversies. You had a lot of players on drugs. You know, I don't know if you remember, but there was a pitcher who pitched. I don't know if we're allowed to say his name. He was on LSD.
Doc Ellis, right? Doc Ellis.
Doc Ellis. Yeah. Yep. He was on LSD. Yeah. You had all kinds of players who were using cocaine, and so I mean, this was a period where kind of the image was really down. So yeah, they were thinking it was not unique. There were a lot of teams, and most recently, Milwaukee, I believe, had a 10-cent beer night, and it had done very well. And Cleveland, of course, thinks of itself as, a lot of commonality physically and mentally with Milwaukee. And they're a beer town for sure, and Cleveland's a beer town. So, hey, let's do this. It'll draw a big crowd. This was the year, I don't know if you guys, he's one of the interviews, too, that we did in those final 2 interview episodes. Jim Clark, he's the announcer for the AA team and has been. Now the Rubber Ducks, he's been announcing them for 30 years. He wrote a book that came out a few years ago, and he follows every game, actually, of the 1974 season. And the reason he thinks that season was so important was it was the year that they were on the verge of leaving town. And if the team had not done well, and they ended up doing quite well, unfortunately, as far as on the field, they tanked in September. But at the beginning of September, they were only a few games out of first place. And so, and there was a no-hitter that year. They had some big names. They had Gaylord Perry, they had Charlie Spikes, George Hendrick. They had some really good players, and they played really well. Again, unfortunately, at the end of the year, they really took a dive, so they're final record wasn't all that great, but they were in contention all year, and they did quite well attendance-wise, and that's considered the year that saved the team. But back to the promotions, this was not super unusual for, teams were trying anything and everything they could think of to get people in the stand. In fact, get this, even after all that happened, all the madness and the mayhem, the Indians had another 10-cent beer night in July, but they had learned a few lessons. They did. They learned a few lessons. First of all, the volume that you could buy was restricted, and I think it was enforced pretty well. Plus, the main thing that happened was way more security. Plus, then you just had kind of the overall atmosphere. People had learned, like, oh my God, we don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
Because it was notorious. It was all over the media. So that's where it came from. I guess you could look up who was on the PR staff and whatnot. But the whole organization, the entire organization agreed to it. And it wasn't even considered, like I said, all that particularly strange. It's just the perfect storm. Oh, and it was a full moon. So combine all those elements we've already talked about, and it was just madness, mayhem, all hell broke loose. And yet, on the other hand, the Angels were hovering above, and no one was killed or even severely wounded.
That is crazy that nobody got seriously hurt. Eric, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Everybody check it out. Check out the documentary. You get great stories like this. It's unbelievable. There's probably details that even the most diehard fans don't know or didn't know. It's crazy, and it's funny. I didn't know they had done another one later.
I didn't know that either.
Did they keep doing it the following couple of years after that?
I think MLB banned it, and they didn't even want them to do that next one. But hey, it's on the schedule. Our hands are tied. What can we do?
So that means Cleveland is responsible for the league stepping in and saying, "Stop trading draft picks. We have to put a rule in place. You can't trade all your draft picks, and stop selling beer for 10 cents."
Yeah, that's it. We're trendsetters here in Cleveland. There's no doubt about it. Thank you,
Common sense? What's that?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Great to talk with you.
Awesome. That was Eric Olson. You can check out Heading for Home, a 10-cent beer night odyssey, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, you can find it there. You get more stories from Eric on 10-cent beer night. And I told you guys it was going to be a wild interview.
He's wild. He's a crazy
and
guy.
Eric was the best.
By the way, can you imagine that happening now?
No, I couldn't.
Imagine that. If that incident had taken place now.
First of all,
the closest thing is Malice at the Palace.
Right. But this is seen.
That's worse than Malice at the Palace.
But this is looked at as lighthearted and funny, and
right.
And that is looked at as shame on the league.
But in the Malice at the Palace, did any fans actually come on the court? It was all
one guy ran on the court and got knocked the F out.
Right.
Did Jermaine O'Neal still drop me?
He said there might have been 1,000 fans in this. And I didn't realize that the Indians players were helping the Rangers.
That's the part that was so certain to me.
I didn't know that. Yeah. That's crazy.
Mike Hargrove was a player on the Rangers.
At the time.
Yeah.
That is wild.
That was a lot of fun.
I forget. You think of Billy Martin with the Yankees, of course, and Oakland.
You're right.
And I knew he managed Texas, but you don't really think about him with Texas.
Yeah, somebody was on LSD.
Yeah, Doc Ellis.
Probably more than one.
Oh, yeah.
Those are wild.
All right, Mike, let's switch it up. That was funny.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was everything I hoped it would be. And it's still. And also, Jay has a piece on the 50th anniversary of 10 Cent Beer Night tonight, airing on WKYC. I think it'll be a little more TV appropriate than what you just got here. But if you want the real, the nitty gritty, make sure you check out Eric Olson and his docu-series. We're going to move to the Cavs in a sec, but a quick reminder that it is winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Yesterday, Bull, the Cleveland Cavaliers were granted permission to interview Timberwolves assistant Micah Nori for their open head coaching position. That is now 5 candidates the Cavs have requested and been granted access to interview. We talked about Chris Quinn. We talked about Johnny Bryant yesterday. Jason, what can you tell us about Micah Nori, the Timberwolves top assistant, and what he potentially could bring to the Cavs if he ends up being their head coaching choice?
One of the few guys there's a couple, I guess, on this list with no prior head coaching experience. He stepped in Minnesota when Chris Finch was sidelined with surgery, and he's been sort of considered like the Ted Lasso of coaches, right? Like he's very personable. He's always got a funny story to tell. He's got a deep history, Mike Malone in Denver and Sacramento. He's been around the league a little bit. And you know, Mike, you were one of the first to put his name up as a guy you thought could get a look, even before it was really confirmed or reported out that he would be the guy. Why did you like him so much?
And by the way, if he's Ted Lasso, did he come up like playing soccer, and now he's coaching basketball?
No, I don't think it was soccer.
Did you see Ted Lasso?
Yeah, I saw the first season. I watched the first season of it. I lost interest after that.
How do you lose interest?
The
show was fantastic.
I lost interest.
It's the show of the decade.
No, it is not. It's still going.
It's absolutely the show. No, it's done. Go ahead, Mike.
One of the things I liked about Nori was his experience developing big men. He was in Sacramento with DeMarcus Cousins when he had the best years of his career. He went to Denver when Jokic was a rookie and helped him see the progression he made. He left before Jokic became MVP Jokic, but he went from a 10-point-per-game scorer to a 16 to an 18. Then he went to Detroit, and his first year in Detroit with Blake Griffin was when Blake Griffin rejuvenated his career, made a third-team All-NBA under Micah Nori. He goes to Minnesota with Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. I just thought he's a guy who has a track record as an assistant, has been pretty successful everywhere he's been, and has a history of developing big men, which Kobe Altman alluded to in his end-of-season presser. Hey, we kind of put Evan Mobley's development on the back burner. That has to be something we push to the front burner. Is that the right way to say that?
Front burner, sure.
Yeah, push it forward.
How old is this guy?
Not that old. Micah Nori is...
I don't know. He's young.
Why do we think he's never... He seems like he's been an assistant coach for a long time. Why he's never been given a chance?
And he's from Ohio.
Oh, he's older than I thought.
Middletown, by the way.
He's older than I thought.
How old is he?
50.
50.
Oh.
I would have guessed early
Why has he
40s.
never had an opportunity, you think?
That's what I want to know.
As a head
There's
coach?
only... I mean, you say that about... There's only 30 of these jobs.
Yeah,
and a
hear
lot of
you,
them get recycled, and you gotta... You got to put in your time and pay your dues.
If you had to pick between him and Chris Quinn, who would you pick? Because I feel like they're about the same when you talk about...
I like Quinn better for what it's worth.
Yeah, because when you talk about both of them, they both seem to know how to develop big men. And if Evan Mobley seems to be the focal point on this, trying to get him to elevate his development, then I think the two leading candidates should be Chris and him, because those are the two that works the best with big man, and that's the one area that needs the biggest improvement. So my question to y'all is, if it came down to them two, which one would you
I think
feel
it's
comfortable?
impossible to answer because they've never been in that position.
That's the biggest
the problem. When you hire, you just don't know. It's like,
right.
And even if they have, like Kenny Atkinson, okay, some guys learn from their first experience and get better, and some guys don't.
Yes.
You look at Josh McDaniels. Everybody thought he'd be a great head coach. He went to Denver. He was a total disaster. And you're like, okay, well, he's going to be better the second time around. No, he wasn't. He was a total disaster the second time around. Some guys learn from that mistakes, and some guys don't.
And you don't know until you know, and
That's
then
right.
It's too late.
It's
one way or the other.
It's a crapshoot.
Of all the names that are out there, I think I've said before, I'm underwhelmed by the entire list. There's no one on that list that I look at and think that's a massive upgrade over what they've got now. But if I had to pick one, probably right now, it'd probably be Borrego. But I could change my mind later on. I still think Kenny Atkinson is the favorite,
right,
to get it from everything that we've heard to this point. But I mean, take your time, cast a wide net, talk to as many people.
Mind? It ain't like
there's no rush.
Talk to as many people as you can.
Is JJ Redick like the Lakers' #1 pick?
Yeah.
What happened with that? I thought it was done. Now it's been
They're not going to announce anything till after the NBA Finals because he's calling the NBA Finals. So,
gotcha. But it's done.
From all reports, he's putting together an assistant coaching staff, so you can read up to that however you want.
All right, what do you
Jason,
got?
On the Hoop Collective podcast yesterday, Brian Windhorst said he's not to the belief that the Cavs will necessarily wait until Donovan Mitchell signs his extension or declines an extension to hire a head coach. That's kind of contrary to what you've been under the belief of, or at least what you think. Not necessarily reported, but just how you think it'll play out.
I just pointed it out based on what Kobe said at the end of season presser, that he thought it'd be a little aggressive to have a coach in place by the draft. And the draft is only a few days before
Which is a
free
weird
agency.
thing to say.
I was a little surprised by
Yeah.
it. Usually you have a coach in place by the draft.
Yeah.
I can't think of many examples where
When is the draft again?
June 26th.
June 26th.
And when did he say this? It was still May, right?
Yeah.
So why would it be aggressive to take a month to find a coach? I mean,
if Alex Jensen's still coaching on the Mavs, if you want to talk to Alex Jensen, maybe that's a guy who's
they're not doing
weeds.
these things behind the scenes?
Well, but you're not going to hire the guy. You're not going to
Right.
while he's still in the finals, while his season's still going on.
Tonight the first game of the finals, by the way?
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday.
So there's other, they could be more candidates that they want to talk to as the season ends and lines up. I was only making the point of, okay, if Kobe's saying it's not a foregone conclusion they're going to have a coach in place by the draft, ideally he would love to have one, but he also said it would be a little bit of aggressive. Well, the free agency only begins a few days after the draft, so if you're going to go that long, you might as well wait a few more. When you're the only one out there and you have nobody else you're competing against for a coach, there's no rush. That's the only point I was making.
They better have a
you weren't saying like you've heard that they're going to do that.
Correct.
You're just connecting the dots.
Yes.
And it makes sense what you're saying.
My question, and Jason, I didn't mean to put on you that
No,
you
you're
reported.
good.
I just know we had talked about
Yeah.
it. But let's just say for the sake of this argument that what Wendy's saying has some credence, that they may hire a coach before the Mitchell extension, which would probably mean before the draft and before free agency. Would you put any credence into the order in which they're scheduling these interviews and which names have been coming out first? Atkinson was the first one, and Borrego, which are both CAA clients, which were the two front runners, according to Woj, when the Cavs moved on from JB. Would you put any credence into the order in which these interviews are coming out if the Cavs are in the mindset they're going to make a hire maybe quicker than the draft?
Not really. Atkinson and Borrego were the two names that we heard. Thanks for giving Woj the credit on that. Appreciate it.
Johnny Bryant was first reported by our own Jason Lloyd.
No, that's not true. Ian Begley had it out there first. I didn't realize that. But
you see what I'm saying?
yeah, I don't think the order necessarily matters. The one thing that you alluded to that I do think is interesting, all of those guys are CAA clients. All of them. And CAA also reps Donovan. So I don't know Alex Jensen. I don't know who his agent is. If he becomes a candidate down the road, when the season is over, if he gets an interview or not. So I'd have to look and see who his agent is. But it's just interesting to me that all the guys are interviewing are all CAA guys.
We had Fedor on the other day. You weren't here, and he made the point, because we've talked about hiring David Blatt before you brought LeBron.
Yeah.
And he thought the comparison wasn't as good because with and without LeBron was a huge difference in what the team was going to be.
Yes.
Whereas with or without Donovan, it's going to be a difference, but not to the level of with or without LeBron.
But with Donovan, you kind of probably have a sense of what kind of coaching style he likes.
Sure.
And who he likes.
Right.
And if you don't have him, you don't necessarily maybe align with the guy.
You're less pigeonholed, man.
Yeah. That's the only point that I would make on that.
Yes.
Not that the team would be so drastically different. It would be, if Donovan's here, you're trying to do part of the sale is, well, who do you want?
That's right.
And
you're not rebuilding like they would have been if LeBron hadn't come back.
Correct. But it was an odd spot to be in 2014.
I wonder who Donovan looks like. I wonder who, Would it be Johnny Bryant?
Well, that's who I think he's closest to of all those guys on that list. I think he's closest with Johnny Bryant.
So Johnny Bryant got this job. It would be 100% Donovan Mitchell pulled.
Well, see, I hate saying that because that makes it sound like Johnny Bryant didn't earn it.
Right.
And Johnny Bryant's a good coach. And he's been around with a bunch of different teams. He's really highly respected in New York with the Knicks. So I don't want to say that because that's disrespectful to – and it makes it sound like he was handed the job and he didn't earn it. But certainly the ties are undeniable. The connection between the two of them is undeniable.
Is Bronny James
that's different.
Getting to the NBA combine because his father is LeBron James?
Of course.
Did he earn it, though?
No.
Okay.
But so what?
I'm just saying. It doesn't matter.
There's all kinds of dentists and orthodontists.
There's a lot of legacies.
Doesn't matter.
In the media, a lot in the media.
Well, that's true, too.
I mean, come on.
What I'm saying is, at some point, it's not about what you know, it's who you know. And in this situation, if that's the case, so
I think it sounds like, and again, you know better than me, Jason, but it sounds like Johnny Bryant is maybe the perfect combo of qualified and it gives them an advantage with Donovan.
Certainly, yeah. I think he checks both of those boxes.
Right. I mean, you don't want to hire a guy who's completely unqualified for the job, even if it's somebody
they did that in 2014.
Well, if they would have did that, if they do that, then that's an uproar. Then that's if he was unqualified. First of all, he shouldn't even be getting the interview if he was unqualified. But
right.
I would imagine he's done something good to get this look to begin with.
He's highly thought of with the Knicks.
Okay.
He's Tom Thibodeau's right-hand man.
So you're okay with it?
I'm
underwhelmed
with all of them. Like I'm just sort of.
You're saying they missed it last year. They should have did it last.
But one of those guys might be the next really good head coach. Who knows?
Just don't. Chris Quinn. I mean, Chris Quinn certainly has the pedigree of if you're in Miami for
that's a great organization.
10 years now, you ought to have been able to pick something up from Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra and the way they go about doing things. So I wouldn't have a problem if it was Chris Quinn.
I talked to a couple of my guys in Miami over the weekend who could not have spoken more highly about Chris Quinn and what he brings. We talked about it on the show yesterday. To Jason's and to Bull's point about last year, there were a lot of guys with like experience, track record, and proven track records in the open free agency head coaching cycle. Or what is
happening over there?
Earl's opening snacks, but it sounds like an earthquake's
going on. It took him 10 minutes to open that bag.
But this year it's an unknown. And Steve, take this list real quick. This is the guys who have been requested and granted interviews with the Cavs. There are plenty of guys with proven track records, like Frank Vogel, for example. If you wanted a guy with like a more proven history that are out there, it doesn't seem like that's the barrel the Cavs are deciding to go fishing in. So there are options that have proven and have more success.
Larry Bird's out there.
Well, I feel like that's...
Yeah, but they've made a conscious effort, and Ty, then I want you to chime in, but those don't seem like the candidates the Cavs are after.
For better or worse. In all sports, they always want the younger, hip coach that's...
You want the unknown versus the retread. A lot of people.
Even in football.
Fans do.
Even in football. Like, it's been other coaches out there, but they all go with some younger guy because it's something about getting players to relate to you and being able to put yourself in the shoes or not being that far removed. I mean, look at Stephen Vogt, what he's doing. He's only a couple years removed, and they love him over there, and he's doing all these amazing things.
Has a lot of Stephen Vogt in him, for the record.
See? And he's from Ohio, so there you go.
Yeah, both from Ohio, journeyman, backups throughout their entire career, had success but not like sustained year.
Stephen Vogt is not from Ohio.
No.
No, it's about Chris Quinn.
But Chris Quinn is from Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
But they are guys who at position, catcher, point guard, are the equivalent positions in different sports, kind of the coach on the field or on the court. They have some similarities. But you mentioned Micah Nori.
Stephen Vogt was probably a better baseball player than Quinn was.
He was, yes. But I'm just saying journeyman throughout most of their career. Jason, real quick.
Yeah.
You mentioned Micah Nori being kind of like Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Bull, just because I know you love Ted Lasso, these are some third quarter interview clips, 20 seconds real quick, of Micah Nori this year, who is a great interview. Steve?
Nothing fast break points. Boom goes the dynamite. There goes our lead. We got to treat Bane like you do the elf on a shelf on Christmas morning. You got to find him. You know, he makes everybody comfortable. He's like popcorn during Saturday night movies. Our paint defense was like 7-Eleven, open 24 hours. Realized they had hits on like Donkey Kong the way they started out. First time all year that we were kind of on almost like a hot mess express. Nothing fast break points. Boom.
So he has a lot of those weird idiisms like Ted Lasso.
This has come up a couple times, though. I want to touch on this real quick because I've heard a couple times.
The fact that you're out of your gourd when it comes to Ted Lasso?
No, that never comes up because I'm usually right.
Yeah, totally wrong.
No, but this idea that like they should have fired JB last year because there was better coaches out there last year, I kind of get why people would say that. But the only like really, really good name in my opinion was Ime Udoka, and Houston snatched him up fast. Like I don't remember. I was just trying to look and see when Ime hired him or when Houston hired him, but they got out in front because they knew he was going to be a top candidate. The rest of the guys. I mean, Monty Williams has been a disaster in Detroit.
Right.
Nick Nurse, I guess you could say, was a big name. And
Udoka was April 24th.
So they got before it even. I mean, that's right when the season ended. I thought it was
barely started.
Yeah. So they got out ahead of everybody on that one. And the rest of the names, like Adrian Griffin was a disaster in Milwaukee. Nurse, you could say, I guess. I'm not a huge Nick Nurse fan, but I can see why people would say he's a big name you can go get. But the rest of the list is very I thought was really underwhelming.
It's ridiculous. Again, you don't know if a guy's going to be a good head coach until he's your head coach, even if he has experience. So the big names don't matter. It doesn't mean they're going to be good in other places.
Most of them aren't.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mike, where are we moving?
We're going to move, and we got a little bit of breaking news this morning from the Browns. And big shout out to our guy, DeQuell Jackson, who has officially been hired as a full-time scout.
Nice.
For the Cleveland Browns. So I want to give DeQuell, yep, Steve, take time for that says DeQuell's been hired as a pro scout for the Browns. He's been around the team at various points in various capacities over last year. Now a full-time employee. I texted him with this morning. He's thrilled. He says he still can't come on the show, unfortunately, because he's officially
well, now he definitely can't
in
come on the
cahoots
show.
with the Browns. But everyone here at UCSS is thrilled for our guy DQ, and he's going to continue to make an impact on the Browns off the field, just like he did on the field. So shout out to DeQuell. That is awesome.
That's awesome. Congrats to him. We love DeQuell. He was always, when we met him in person, when he was in studio, it was always great. There is some other breaking news. Did you see these baseball suspensions?
I just
if you want to mention those real quick, we could do those real quick.
Yeah. So Tucupita Marcano is a 24-year-old guy who's been, I think he's on the Pirates now. He had surgery last year. He's been out for 6 months, but he has been permanently banned from baseball for betting on baseball, and 4 other players have been suspended for a year, including A's reliever Michael Kelly and minor league pitchers Andrew Saalfrank and Jay Groom, both who have been in the majors. Saalfrank has been this year. I don't think Groom has, maybe last year. How about this, though? Michael Kelly, who got suspended for a year, made 10 bets on baseball with an average bet of $9.92. Like, what are you thinking? You know you can't bet on baseball. You know it. Why? And you're doing it to make $10 bets?
Yeah.
What are these guys thinking?
He banned for life?
No, he's only banned for a year. Marcano, I don't know the details on exactly what he did, but he's banned for life.
I actually put this on the leagues. Like, they invited the thieves into the hen house with the gambling deals and then tell the players, okay, now don't look over there. Now you can't have anything to do with that. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Of course this was going to happen.
But
I mean, the players are ultimately responsible for their own behavior.
I don't blame.
I get that.
Yeah.
But it's ridiculous that the league. It's just like when you invited sports gambling in like this and embraced it this much. Of course, this was going to happen.
But Jason, we know they're going to do that. It's money. The players are adults. They're big boys.
And they're
like
responsible
grow up
for their own
and
decisions.
have a responsibility.
But don't you think it's hypocritical of the leagues to say we're going to embrace gambling? We want to bring gambling into bed with us, but you can't touch them?
No, I don't.
I think it's outrageous.
I don't, because if players gamble, it goes to the integrity of the game.
Of course, which is why the leagues shunned gambling for generations.
The leagues being hypocritical and embracing gambling is not a surprise. They only care about money. They only care about money. That's it. That's all they care about, making every last dollar. Billionaires want to stay billionaires. And so it's not surprising. But ultimately, this is it. When you make gambling legal or drugs or alcohol or cigarettes or whatever the hell you make legal, you have to have personal responsibility.
Absolutely agree.
I'm not in charge of protecting you. You got to protect yourself. And when you're a professional athlete, I think they can go to the casino and do. There's other types of gambling they can do if they really want to gamble.
Oh, yeah.
So you just can't bet on baseball. I mean, it's really that easy.
Yeah.
I mean, how hard is it?
It just feels hypocritical. And
I get
ultimately,
it.
the players
Yes.
are responsible. I agree.
Yes.
I agree with that.
All these sports are in bed with these gambling entities. It to some degree is ridiculous. I get
Because
it.
they weren't making enough money before.
Right.
I mean,
But
come on.
We know how greedy these guys
know,
are. It doesn't-
I know.
and-
At the
but
end
the
of
player,
the-
I don't have sympathy for the
At
players.
the
You know
end
the
of
rules.
the day, when I was playing and they said to me, if you get caught gambling on sports, you're done for life.
That's
I
it.
said, I like my money too much.
That's right.
I will not be gambling on sports betting. And I
What's
have not
amazing
done
is some of
it.
these,
There
like
it
a guy
is.
like Michael Kelly, like that's a journeyman guy. Like you're just.
He must have. The only way he probably. But can he do that? Like, what if he said, you know what? I ain't making no money. I'm gonna take.
But he's only betting $10, Tyvis. He's only going to win $10.
Yeah, what is he going to do? He's not going to win anything.
I don't know. Maybe he knew something.
I heard this morning there was I hadn't heard the story.
He did that just to do it.
Apparently there was a
dumb.
college baseball coach. I can't remember what
Yeah,
school.
Alabama last year.
Who gave his buddy? He told his
gave
buddies
his
that
buddy-
you guys weren't
Yeah,
pitching.
he
Yeah, it's
going
a whole
to jail.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Speaking of betting, though,
Yeah.
this next topic, ironically, and this was not planned,
Yeah.
involves gambling. Tyvis
Yeah.
sent us a text to the group chat yesterday saying,
We're allowed to bet on
only bet
baseball."
$10, but I might throw down $100 on this. And Steve, you take tag board full. This was from this tweet here from PFF Fantasy and Betting. After making the playoffs last season, the Browns are plus money to make it to the playoffs in 2024. They are plus 135 to make the playoffs. So, Tyvis, I'll start with you, and we can go our way around. You said you usually bet 10.
That's easy
you
money
bet
to me.
100. You think it's easy money the Browns make the playoffs?
Yeah, I do. I mean, because I feel like teams got a little bit weaker in the AFC, and yeah, you got teams like the Jets that's getting Aaron Rodgers back, but I'd be shocked. And I don't say this a lot. I'd be shocked if they didn't make the playoffs.
Really?
I would be.
I wouldn't be.
I would be shocked.
How could you be shocked?
Because I just think it's just they've done everything right, like this offseason. You know, getting that defense back, strengthening it up, going back to the trenches, and getting a new play caller in there. As long as that play call is right and they take it, I guess that might be the biggest variable right there is the play calling. But I feel like even with all that went on last year, with all the chaos,
But that doesn't.
they still was
it
a good
doesn't
team.
like what happened last year doesn't matter. Every year we see half the teams that make the playoffs don't make it the following year. Jason, what's your take on this?
The schedule is brutal.
Yeah.
The quarterbacks that they face is significantly harder than they had last year.
Yeah.
And the variables of the division is the best in the league.
Yes.
So, no, I don't think it's outrageous if they – do I expect them to make the playoffs? Yes. Would I be shocked if they missed the playoffs? No, not at all.
Yeah, I would not be shocked at all either and it's not because the Browns aren't good. It's
Right.
just because there were so many good teams
Right.
in the division,
The
and
Browns
there were
is-
so many good
The
teams.
Browns are such a good team too.
They
I
are.
just said that.
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
But there's-
I'm not about to keep. I'm
Because
not
there's gonna be-
not about to hang my hat. Oh, they lost because they went up against.
But
a
wait a
good team.
second.
No.
First of all, that tweet by PFF is absurd. It's an absurd tweet for a variety of reasons. Number one, why would you have the eyes? Like, they made the playoffs last year. Every year there's a bunch of teams that make the playoffs and don't make it the following year. Number two, the Browns, more than probably any team outside of maybe the Steelers, made it to the playoffs in one of the most unsustainable ways. So the way they made it to the playoffs is not likely to repeat itself. If the Browns have to use 4 quarterbacks again this year, by the way, we got to stop saying 5. The 5th quarterback only played because the game didn't matter. 5 is misleading. I don't like to mislead, and we're doing that too much. If the Browns have to use 4 quarterbacks again this year, they're going to go to the playoffs?
No.
Exactly. You're not going to get that kind of magic luck 2 years in a row. If the Browns are going to make the playoffs this year, it's because they stay relatively healthy and Deshaun Watson plays well, and the rest of the team does what they can do, which is be good. So it's not. Plus, Mike, you said it's plus 135. It's not like they're a significant underdog to not make the playoffs. I mean, plus 135 is like, okay, they have a 45% chance to make the playoffs. I mean, how many teams? The only team, honestly, that would shock me if they didn't make the playoffs in the AFC is Kansas City. That's it. Shock me.
That means Mahomes got hurt.
Right.
Like,
That
Right?
would shock you.
I mean,
if they
I'd
didn't
be
win?
surprised if Baltimore didn't make it. I'd be surprised if the Texans didn't make it. But shocked? Like, that can't happen? Kansas City's the only team in the AFC that would shock me if they didn't make the playoffs. Every other team in the AFC, to me, there's a lot of other teams. All 4 teams in the North, Houston, Buffalo, those 6 teams, I think they all have a good chance to make it, but it wouldn't shock me if any of them didn't. Any of them.
The Buffalo one still is that's going to be the one to watch.
They still got Josh Allen.
I understand that.
I mean, the Chargers now have Jim Harbaugh, and they still have a
Dolphins are
franchise
decent. The Jets are decent. The Jaguars are decent. The AFC is loaded. I don't know how you can be shocked. Again, Kansas City's the only one that would shock me if they didn't make the playoffs. Even Baltimore. Baltimore won. What did they win last year?
13-4.
13-4. They were the number 1 seed.
I'd be shocked if Baltimore didn't make the playoffs.
I wouldn't.
I'd be shocked.
I'd be more surprised if Baltimore misses than Cleveland.
Of course, yes, agreed. But
oh, that'll piss everybody off if you say that.
well, how would you possibly have Cleveland ahead of Baltimore right now?
I'm just saying.
Now, Baltimore is probably the one team in the division that got worse this offseason. They lost 3 starting offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And their defensive coordinator.
Their defensive coordinator and a couple of key pieces on defense.
Yeah.
But they still got Lamar.
Yep.
And he's coming off another MVP season.
And Derrick Henry.
And Derrick. And
But I don't know how much Henry has left. I really don't know how much Azzy has left.
I don't think it's that big a deal.
So plus 135 though. Do you like those odds? And we'll move on to the Jerry Jeudy thing. But
I mean,
is that fair?
I think that
Is that
those
in the
are
right
fair
area?
odds. I don't think they're too low or too high.
So I'm okay to put 100 on it.
I mean, yeah, I think that's. I mean, I think the Browns, like Vegas is saying, the Browns have a 45% chance to make the playoffs.
That sounds about right.
I think the Browns got a little better chance than that, but not that much better. Because I don't think anybody's got more than a 60% chance outside of Kansas City. You want to say Baltimore 60, 65? Okay, I can go for that. Everybody else in the AFC is probably somewhere between, not everywhere else. Yeah, there's a couple teams on the bottom, but all these other teams we've talked about are probably like between a 45 and 55, 60% chance to make it.
I just don't see the Browns taking a step back. I don't.
Well,
I just don't.
You know, are you biased a little bit?
No.
I could believe that to some degree.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I hear you.
I would tell you straight
Tyvis,
up.
you know, I mean, you
just
played
don't-
in the league. You know that sometimes.
Oh,
you
it's
go backwards all the
yeah.
time.
I was with San Fran in 2018. We was 4-12. The next year they was in the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, it flips just like that. Yeah.
What if it doesn't work with Ken Dorsey as the play caller? What if the wrong guy gets hurt?
Right.
If it doesn't work with Ken Dorsey as the play caller, Kevin's still there.
You think he's gonna at mid-season take over the ship?
It's not like they forgot it.
I don't know.
See, that's the thing. You act like you of all people. Kevin just go. Ken, take the wheel. Take the wheel. I don't know what's going on. Ken, take everything offensively.
Hey,
I don't
Tyvis.
even want to know. You think that's what he doing?
No, I don't think that's what he's
Do
doing.
you know what the Browns have never done in your entire life?
Went back to back in playoffs.
Not only that, they've never even had back-to-back winning records. Never in your life.
Why you gotta put it like that, bro? It's your birthday. Why you gotta put it like that? Supposed to be spreading
Stating
cheer on
fact.
your birthday, bull.
Bull.
The last time the Browns
Wait a minute.
made the playoffs, the last time the Browns were over 500 following a year that they did it was 1989. I was 18. 18.
Bull. Would you say that things have changed in 35 years?
I certainly think this Browns organization
Was that
is in the
35
best
I did
shape
that?
they've been in a very long time.
Okay.
I like where they are. I like where they're at. I think they have a very reasonable chance to make the playoffs.
So what you're
it's
saying-
just not a short thing. And they could be – there is a scenario where the Browns are a pretty good football team and still miss the playoffs.
So-
that is not a crazy scenario.
So my thing
Yeah.
is, if you was a betting man,
Yes.
would this be the year would you be confident that they could break this
If I had to
statistic
bet,
that you
if
have?
I had to bet, will the Browns make the playoffs or not make the playoffs? I would actually bet on them to make the playoffs.
Okay.
But I certainly don't think it's shocking. Again, Vegas is saying 45%. I would say the Browns are closer to 55% to make the playoffs. But that's not much past 50. I'm past 50, but not way past.
The Browns really never had 2 back-to-backs.
Not since 89. That was the last time they made the playoffs or even had a winning record following a season in which they had a winning record and made the playoffs.
Time for it.
Go ahead,
They
Mike.
should put that on that should be bulletin board material.
Yeah, that was mean, Bo. I don't appreciate you bringing that up.
I don't know what that's mean. I'm just making a point.
Tonight at 6 o'clock, a new episode of Behind the Glass will be airing on the UCSS YouTube page, so make sure you guys check it out. Myself Anthony Earl, and a special guest joined us.
I think I know who
on
it
today's
is.
Behind the Glass. So make sure you guys tune in at 6 o'clock on our YouTube page. It'll lead you right into the Guardians-Orioles first pitch. So make sure you guys tap in and tune in. All right, Bull, we're going to get to Shawn Merriman in about 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But first, you weren't here yesterday when Justin Jefferson signed his new contract extension for 4 years, $140 million.
I saw some outrageous tweets off of that.
Which has
contract.
then led to the discussion of the Jerry Jeudy contract, which when it signed, it was 3 for
insane.
51. We had a conversation about it. Since then, there have been 6 other receivers who have signed contract extensions, all of which have been for more money than for Jerry Jeudy. We had Devonta Smith get 3 for 75. We had St. Brown in Detroit get 4 for 120.
Amon-Ra, because you couldn't think of his
Amon-Ra.
name.
I couldn't think of his name, I'll be honest. We had A.J. Brown go 3 for 96. Nico Collins, 3 for 73. Jalen Waddle, 3 for 85. And then Jefferson set the new record, 4 for 140. Your poverty franchise, the Bengals, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, still unsigned. CeeDee Lamb.
Loves tweaking me with that one.
CeeDee Lamb is next up. But how do you look at the Jerry Jeudy contract in comparison now? Has it changed your thoughts at all, knowing what Jefferson and these other receivers have gone for?
I am offended even by the question, because it is an insult to all those receivers to ask the question. Is it not?
Putting Jerry Jeudy and Justin Jefferson in the same
I mean,
sentence
that.
is
Listen,
outrageous.
I love Mary Kay. I very much respect her. She is the best Browns beat reporter by far. But I hate, and maybe she didn't pick the headline, but that's patently that headline yesterday. Do you have that?
And just went to the bathroom. I'll pull it up. Give me 1 second.
I mean, come on. we can't do this. That looked like a Nick Carnes tweet.
What it say? How did the Browns get Jerry Jeudy to get this deal? With
They
all
got
these
Jerry
receivers?
Jeudy for half the price. He ain't even half the player Jefferson is. Are you kidding me?
Well, he hasn't performed in the NFL.
That's all that matters. I don't care about your God-given gifts. You have to perform on the field. Those guys on that list have all done it on the field at an extremely high level. I'm not even that comfortable putting Nico Collins on the list because he's only really done it at that level for 1 year. Mm-hmm. Those other guys, especially Amon-Ra and Smith and Brown and even Waddle, since he's been in the league, those guys are phenomenal. And then Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in football. So Jerry Jeudy, they're not part of the same conversation.
They all said that they got good quarterbacks, though. And Jeudy didn't. That's what they say.
Let me see that list.
I'm just telling you what they say.
Let me see the list. Yeah. How's Garrett Wilson's quarterback situation been?
What do you mean?
What do I mean?
He ain't on that list.
Okay, but Garrett Wilson's been great since he's come in the league. Has he not?
You know where he went to college, so.
Okay. First of all, Nico Collins only had a quarterback this 1 year.
That's how he got paid.
Right, exactly. All right. A.J. Brown played a number of years in Tennessee with terrible quarterbacks. He was putting up huge numbers there.
He was the only threat.
Still had Ryan Tannehill thrown to him.
Ryan Tannehill wasn't that bad.
How many
He wasn't that good.
He wasn't that bad,
How
though.
many threats do the Broncos have, Tyvis?
Say that again.
Josh Gordon had 1,600 yards here playing with me at quarterback, essentially. I mean, come
First
on.
of all,
When you're good, you put up the numbers.
So Derek Anderson wasn't good?
1 year he was.
Josh Gordon didn't play with Derek Anderson.
Derek Anderson, who was the quarterback? Jake Delhomme?
No, you're way early on the quarterback.
Who was
he
the
had like
quarterback?
Brandon Whedon, I think Jason Campbell maybe.
That's
a bunch of slappies.
That's the 17. I seen South. I kept thinking it
Come
was
on
Jake
now.
Delhomme.
Don't give me this. Listen.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy has some talent. I get it. It changes my mind 0% on the contract. The bottom line is, yes, if he can reach a higher level on the field, it's a perfectly fine contract. It's not a bargain.
No.
It's not a bargain unless he all of a sudden becomes I'm not even going to say Jefferson. And even this is ridiculous. Even if he becomes that next step where Amon-Ra St. Brown and A.J. Brown are.
Why couldn't he be?
I think it's unlikely, but let's say he does. If he reaches that level, then I'll say it's a bargain. But if he's just like an 1,100-yard receiver, he's paid fairly. And if he's not, then he's overpaid.
Wait a second.
But I don't care. They paid
Wait a minute.
It's not my money.
How many yards did Coop have last year?
1,250.
And that dang. So he
You betting money on Jerry Jeudy getting 1,250 yards?
this year?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. It's outrageous that he's even.
Why can't he?
1,250 yards?
Why couldn't he?
As he shown, I mean, maybe he will.
Why
I don't
you
know.
look at them? You like, yo.
By the way,
it's possible.
I hate to say it. We don't know how good a quarterback he has here either right now.
That's a big part of it. Mm-hmm. And the Dorsey offense got to look good. I mean, the one thing we know for sure is they're slinging the ball more this year. Last year, at the end of the year, once Joe Flacco came in and they became a pass-heavy team, they won games. They put up a bunch of points. Maybe they thought, all right, this is what we are now. We're a passing team. You know, with Nick Chubb coming back, might not be 100% Nick Chubb. You're going to have to be a passing team again. Be more opportunity for him. Now, what he can do, I think the difference is when he was in Denver, you had Cortland Sutton is good, but, like, he don't demand the type of the eyes that Amari Cooper does, if that makes sense. Like, one-on-one, somebody feel like they can handle Cortland Sutton. Amari Cooper, you better come with a game plan. You got to figure something out because the one-on-one thing just not going to happen. Maybe that's what frees up Jerry Jeudy now. He don't have to worry about being the main attraction, and maybe he do have some good games where he can put up some yards. This is just me assuming. I'm just, throwing things out there. So it's not impossible.
We all want the guy to have a great season, and if he does, then he's well worth the contract. Yeah. That's fine. But to put him in the conversation right now with some of those other wide receivers,
I wouldn't put him on that. Yeah,
that's not.
Yeah, we're
like
not
to,
even.
To make some sort of comparison, like the Browns have gotten a great deal here, is ridiculous. You get what you pay for.
The only thing I would add to that is
you don't like the Mary Kay tweet.
And I hate to say it, but I gotta be. Mary Kay knows how much I love her. I 100% respect her. She is by far the best beat reporter. I just hated that tweet.
How the Browns got wide receiver Jerry Jeudy at half of his 20 draft class.
Yes.
The only thing I would add.
Justin Jefferson is maybe the greatest receiver I've ever seen this early in his career. I mean, he's certainly in the conversation.
Yeah. He has every record for receiver through 4 years.
I mean, the guy's incredible.
Yeah.
Jason, what were you saying?
Just the fact that, I've talked to people over there in past years, and Andrew Berry is very much a believer, and if you believe in a guy, get in early.
And that's fine.
And that's what they did with Jeudy. And they believed in him.
Right.
And they got in early with him. And you see, Mike's making jokes about it, but it's true. The price is going up on the Bengals. Like,
poverty.
They're about to be in a tough spot.
Here's the silly thing about this when I see dopey people say, oh, the Bengals don't like this Justin Jefferson contract. Like, what, before that they would only be able to pay Chase? Like, if you could pay him 30, you could pay him 35. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
But for a franchise that every dollar matters, you think Jamar Chase is going to look at that deal and say, now I want more than that.
I can't control... I can't control what the Bengals do.
Of course.
Of course they should pay Jamar Chase. They should pay T. Higgins also. But I don't know what they're going to do.
But by waiting on Chase, they just cost themselves another $20 million.
In the end, I don't think it cost $20 million. Come on.
Well, when you're broke, you're broke.
Jamar Chase was going to get paid in the $30 millions anyway.
And now he's going to get more.
A couple million
because
more.
he has to get now you got to go over top of Justin Jefferson.
He don't have to go over it.
If you're Jamar Chase, are you taking less?
You can make the case that you don't have to pay him more. Yeah.
But
if you're Jamar Chase, are you taking
It's not
less?
quarterback.
If you Jamar Chase and offer you 34, what you gonna say?
I want more than just. They do it all the time.
Again, if they're gonna offer him 34, they can offer him 36.
Then I would say to yourself, what have you done to warrant you getting more than that guy?
Trade me.
Yeah.
All right, well, give me a haul.
Here's it.
Give me a haul.
You know how these things
give me a haul.
You know how these go.
Listen, they're not signing Higgins. They've got to pay Chase. If they don't, then they are a poverty franchise, which is stupid because they paid Joe Burrow the biggest contract in the history of football. I know his guarantee is a little less than Watson, but his total money is actually more. So they've got money to spend. If they want to spend it all on Jamar Chase, I'm fine with letting. I think you should be. I think every NFL team can afford to spend whatever the hell they want. I appreciate the fact that the Browns do that. The Bengals don't do it to that level. They've spent a lot of money in recent years. I can't kill them right now. Even if they let Higgins go, I won't kill him. If they let Chase go, I'll kill him.
Well,
That's a big difference.
Minnesota let Stephon Diggs go and found Justin Jefferson.
What's that?
Minnesota let Stephon Diggs go and found Justin Jefferson.
You already found Justin Jefferson. You found Jamar Chase. They're not going to get somebody better. Jamar Chase is probably the second or third best receiver in football.
When healthy.
When healthy, he's as good as anybody.
They might need somebody that can be reliable.
So he hasn't missed that much time. So the bottom line is they got to pay him. If they don't, it's a joke. If they don't, if I'm Joe Burrow, I'm saying I want the hell out.
Burrow did not show up to mandatory camp today.
What's that?
Joe Burrow did not show up to mandatory camp today.
That's not true.
Go look.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. Let's look at the poverty franchise
voluntary
fan.
camps. What are you talking about? Anyway, you try to get me worked up. It is what it is. I don't get that worked up about it.
So we was just a couple. It was all good. Just what 2-3 years ago.
Earl's got a question. Then we're gonna bring it.
Hey, Jason, I got a question.
Yeah.
So before Justin Jefferson signed for $35 annually, I think AJ Brown was at $32. CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase are the next two up. Is there a chance that one of them touch 40 a year?
I mean, Jamar should. If any, it would
I don't
be
think
Jamar.
it'll be 40 a year, but it'll be 36.
I'm on the fact that CeeDee Lamb's numbers is just as good as Justin Jefferson. That's crazy.
And the Cowboy, like Jerry Jones, is like the richest owner. What is he doing?
That's crazy. I did not know CeeDee Lamb was that good. Like I didn't know he was putting.
CeeDee
up
Lamb's
numbers.
incredible.
Jefferson's better.
Jefferson's better,
But Lamb's, right there.
I'm about to say them number. That graphic I seen yesterday. They literally.
I mean, if you're starting a team
right
at
next
wide
to each
receiver, you want Jefferson, Chase, Lamb. Those are the three guys.
Yeah.
Because the other great receivers are a little older, right? Am I forgetting anybody?
No, those are the three. Unless you want.
Amon Ra.
Yeah, and this is, by the way, just so you know, I'm not lying to you, Bull.
Oh, okay.
Poverty.
I just can't worry about these things. I can't worry about that. There must be a legitimate reason he was at the non-mandatory camp. So.
That would be.
I think he's trying to get Jamar Chase some money and T. Higgins some money.
I doubt it.
That would be unfortunate to watch a franchise that was just in the Super Bowl could really crumble because
it would be unfortunate for me.
Like
to
think a quarterback and two receivers.
Yeah.
And your defense end, you already let the tackle go. You let the safety go. Man, that's
it's all coming apart.
They go. Cincinnati gonna be mad at them owners, man.
We got
money.
We got a guest to bring in here who can talk about the contract situations in the NFL. But first, a word from Game Time. If you are not, I'm not going to say it because it's an ad read. If you want to get tickets to an NBA Finals game and you have the money to spend on an NBA Finals ticket, meaning you're not Mike Brown, then you should be using Game Time because Mike Brown uses Game Time to find affordable tickets to go to Bengals games because for his franchise, it's tough to get tickets to any game if you can't afford it. That's why you call on Game Time. Whether it's an NBA Finals game, it's a Week 17 game between the Browns and the Bengals, it's up to you. Game Time makes getting those tickets faster and easier than ever before. They have priority last-minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, all-in pricing, seat views, and their lowest price guarantee. Make sure you get the best price possible on the internet. Plus, their Game Time ticket coverage makes sure your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the entire ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Just download the app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first offer. Once again, create an account on the Game Time app, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. And with that, let's welcome in Shawn Merriman, Lights Out, who has another big fight card coming up in the next later this month. It's Lights Out 17. Shawn, tell us a little bit about who's on the card and what we can expect in this next big-time bout for you guys.
Yo, what's up, guys? We got a huge fight coming up June 15th in San Diego at Casino Palma, and this will be our 17th fight, which is crazy, but it'll be live on Lights Out Sports TV. So if you guys haven't downloaded the Lights Out Sports TV all sports platform, we'll be live on there from 7 p.m. Pacific to about 10:30. Got, I think, 14 fights lined up. And you see Jordan Bailey, who's a hometown San Diego favorite, and our champion, Tommy Aaron, man, who just actually came off a win over at BKFC. So we, glad to have him back.
It's funny, in that picture, Bailey looks way more jacked. Maybe I just can't tell how jacked Aaron is because he's got the belt there in front of him. But Bailey looks way more put together. But I guess Aaron's a great fighter if he's the champ, huh?
Yeah, so Tommy Aaron is a student of Tony Ferguson. So, Tony comes around fighting and stuff like that. So he's great, man. I mean, he's been, on a nice little streak with us. And then he just went over to bare knuckle boxing, the bare knuckle fighting for a fight. Had a win over there, and he's back to us. So this one's going to be big because Jordan Bailey is actually huge in San Diego. He's probably going to be our biggest ticket seller. So this main event is going to be crazy. Again, it'll be a lights out sports TV. And so if you got Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, iOS, Android, I think we'll be up on Vizio next week, LG TV. So any one of those major TV platforms, man, make sure you download Lights Out Sports TV.
I might have to do that. I knew it was on football. I didn't know you had an app. Y'all doing it big over there.
Oh yeah, and by the way, it's free. I just want to make sure it's 100% free. Because look, I see everybody's face with one more app or something they got to download or buy, man. So I just want to make sure everybody knows it's free.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Hey, Shawn, we was just talking about players that's getting these contracts, and obviously we had a big conversation on Jerry Jeudy. Now that all of these wide receivers deals are coming out and Justin Jefferson's breaking the bank, and it looks like they got Jerry Jeudy for cheap. Do you think that was smart for the Browns, or do you think that maybe they overpaid because he still hasn't had that production in the NFL this far?
Well, I say this, man, too, as far as for these contracts, and I'll be the first one to say I love when guys get paid. I love when players get paid, but I think right now, when you start looking at the market, guys are looking for the money that's close to the top guy who hasn't even produced yet. So Jerry Jeudy, I'm not nothing against him. He might have a ceiling that he needs to get to. He might have some wiggle room to get better. But as what we've seen so far, whether he was in a bad situation or not at Denver, we haven't seen it, right? He has a ceiling. I mean, I think that he's going to be a much better player and he got the opportunity to be in Denver, but at the same time, man, you start to ask for these big numbers because the market dictates it. I think it's going to end up ruining the game, man. And I'll take it all the way to the quarterback position. Like, some of these guys are looking at 50+, 60+ million a year. Like, for what? What really? This isn't NBA, right? Where one player could possibly take you to the playoffs. Literally, one player could change everything on that team. So I get it why NBA players make 50+ million and a big money a year. I don't get some of these quarterbacks and wide receivers. You need too many pieces to the puzzle in order to go out and win football games. So I can't really wrap my head around, some of these guys getting 40, 50, and 60+ million a year. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Wait, Shawn, Tom Brady did it, and Joe Burrow did it with the Bengals. That was just one player that kind of came.
Just one player.
It is.
So we're going to undermine the fact that Tom Brady had some of the best defenses too when he played. I mean, I can go down that.
He did do that.
I can go down the list when he won the Super Bowl. The Teddy Bruschi's, or Willie McGinnis, or Vincent Wilfork, Todd Laws. Like, nobody really want to talk about that. And I'm not taking anything away from Tom Brady at all. But again, you're talking about one player as in history. You start going back to maybe Joe Montana, something like that. But now you got a Dak Prescott that's looking for 50, 60+ million a year with 2 playoff wins. Yeah. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then, okay, so if Dak Prescott makes $60 million a year, what does CeeDee Lamb deserve?
Yeah, no, that's fair, Shawn. And I think even worse than Dak Prescott. I happen to like Dak, but they're talking about Tua and Trevor Lawrence getting big extensions. I'm like, those guys have done nothing. Trevor Lawrence has been bad in 2 of his 3 seasons in the league. I would never give him a big extension right now. Like, at least Dak is, you're right about the playoffs, but at least Dak's played well in the regular season. Those guys.
Yeah, that's true. And so to your point, right, and to your point, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Who is Tua without Waddle and Tyreek Hill?
I think he's just a guy, in my opinion.
He's just a guy. Exactly. He's just a guy, why he's the last person being taken care of over there, because I think they also know that. So I get it. The market's going to dictate what guys going to get paid. I totally understand that part. But it's getting to the point where I think the Players Association got to step in and say, guys, look, how does Tua, a guy like Tua, go out and make 50+ million a year or even ask for it? And you got Derrick Henry, who's going to touch the ball 20+ times a game, making 8. It doesn't make any sense to me. Even let's take your top wide receiver. Let's take CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's going to probably get 30+ a year.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's your best player outside of the quarterback position, how does Dak make 60 and CeeDee Lamb makes 30? Come on. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, you mentioned something there about the Players Association. I would think they'd be all in favor for these guys making as much money as they can. So how do you navigate that as the union, and how do you convince guys? Are you advocating for them to take less, and how do you have that conversation?
No, I'm advocating for them to go in and kind of restructure what's going on, right? Because it's only going to, when I say worse, I don't mean for the guys getting money. I mean for the gap that's about to happen, right? The big gap between your quarterback, who could be a very good player, but not even the best player on your team, making 50 plus a year. So there's a 20 or 30 million plus from your quarterback position to your next big player, your next good player, best player on the team. So at some point in time, somebody's going to have to step in and say, hey guys, look, we can't. I can see for Lamar Jackson, I can see for Joe Burrow, I can see for you maybe your top 5 guys. After you get outside of that top 5, when you start asking for 50, 60 plus million a year, that part I don't understand. You know, Patrick Mahomes, yes. Patrick Mahomes also won a Super Bowl without a number 1 wide receiver and a number 1 running back. And so none of these other guys are doing that. So it's very few guys that can go out and request that type of money.
Shawn, what do you think the appropriate going rate for a premier pass rusher is in today's NFL? If you were, say you were a free agent right now, where would you draw, like, I need this amount right here?
Well, I think Nick Bosa really set the market with that, right? Is he around 30 a year or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just under 30.
Just under 30.
Okay, yeah. So that's where it's at. And then you start to tear it down from there. But again, you got Nick Bosa, who's a game wrecker, a game changer, the TJ Watts, the Myles Garrett to the world. If they're getting a little under 30 a year and Dak Prescott is getting 60, what does this make? You get what I'm saying? Like, if there's a $10, $15 million difference, 30 a year, like that just doesn't. I get it with how they value the quarterback position. I get it that's the leader of your team, the CEO of your organization. I get all that, but there's going to be a problem at some point in time, and a lot of current players. Like I was just tweeting at Darius Slay from Philly. Yeah, I was just tweeting at him, and I told him, I said, I know guys are not going to step up and say anything about the quarterback and be your next best player on the team, but I said somebody got to say something because it's ridiculous. And so you're not trying to hate on anybody because you love when guys get paid, but you're talking about a $30 million a year gap between your quarterback and the next best player who may be more important than your quarterback. But because he plays quarterback, he's getting $30 more million a year. It just doesn't. I won't.
You know what, Shawn? We messed up. We should have played quarterback.
That's right.
That's what it means. Everybody about to be a quarterback.
My son Justin Merriman, he's 14 years old. He plays quarterback. They even put his hand in the dirt. I'm yanking him off the team. I swear to God, man. He could not tackle a soul ever.
Hey, Shawn, my bad. Nick Bosa got a little over 30. Josh Allen, who's second, got just under 30. So right around 30.
Okay.
Right. Before you hopped on, we were talking about the Browns and their playoff odds, and I know you follow the league as a whole. Right now, the Browns, coming off an 11-win season where they made the playoffs, are plus 135 to make the playoffs again next year. Do you feel like those odds are about right, or are they way off in your mind? We went back and forth on this.
I think they're about right. And you know, I'll say this. I mean, for them to even have the season they had last year with the injuries and the amount of people that went down, and I'm not talking about just regular guys in key positions. I'm starting from Nick Chubb. And for them to still finish up the way they did, the coaching staff, the training staff, everybody deserves like a raise, man, because it's so hard when you start losing key guys to have any sort of a decent season. They actually battled it through. So you got to think that if the team stays remotely healthy this year, that they're going to be much better, even better than they were last year. So I think that's pretty accurate.
Shawn, let's before I let you go here, let's talk about the big card you got coming up once again. I want to, Tyvis, did you download the app?
I am downloading.
Let's go.
Yes.
We want to see some more guys.
You said lights out, right?
The lights
out Sports TV.
Lights out. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me make sure I got it
right. Come on. I need that download, baby.
Give us the details again of the big event.
Yeah, so we got a fight Saturday, June 15th in San Diego, as you see right there. Casino Palmas where we're having the fight. But we'll be live on Lights Out Sports TV at 7 p.m. Pacific, and it'll run to about 10:30. So anybody can get it. It's free. It's on your Roku, I believe we're on LG TVs, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, iOS, Android. So you got any one of those major TV platforms. I think next week we'll be up on Vizio, Comcast, and Xumo. So if you got any one of those major TV platforms, make sure you download us. Lights Out Sports TV. This is going to be an amazing card of 14 fights we got in one night. So we got a pretty big card. You see these two guys, Tommy Aaron and Jordan Bailey. So there you go, my man.
There you go. Both guys downloaded the app. Watch some ass kicking on the 15th. We're less than 11 days.
And you got to see, I got World Poker Tour on there, Glory Kickboxing, Swerve Combat, Chess TV, Speed Vision's going up there. So I'll have about 6 more channels up and running sometime this week.
What is this street beef? You got people out in the street.
Is that like Fight Club?
Yeah, with this street beef.
They are an excellent organization. One of the rawest backyard fighting, strap it up type.
Yeah, I'm looking.
I see him on TikTok all the time.
You hold out on us, Sean.
Nice.
I'll be on the poker channel for the next 3 hours.
Yeah, Jason will be yeah, that's right. Thanks, Sean. We appreciate it, man. Good luck with the event next week.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, this is Shawn Merriman, former
Sean.
NFL player. Was a great player, and man, all these different fight entities.
That street beef
people love
is
that. Some
something.
people like.
I'm looking at it.
That's
Is it like regular people just?
It looked like
just
it
in the
looked like a
backyard,
backyard.
just
Throw some gloves on and let's fight.
It's
That's
all
like
a
over
movie.
TikTok, and some of the fights are terrible, and some are awesome.
Like, did anybody die in these things?
No, like it.
Yeah.
I
no,
think
it's somebody.
legally
It's a ref. It looked like
sanctioned,
it's
but
a
legal?
ref. Somebody
There's a
there.
ref, yeah, and you can bet it's cool. Real quick before we get to our little special thing here, after 3 seasons at the Wolfstein Center, the Cleveland Chargers are moving their home games to the historic public auditorium next year. Jason, Bull, Tyvis, thoughts?
Public auditorium for the Charge. We excited about that?
It's probably
That was the look the guy gave me at the pizzeria about shutting off the disco ball. All right, Mike, what do we got next?
No, it's a smaller venue.
Yeah,
it's
which
probably
makes sense.
more intimate.
Yeah. That was
But
funny.
I don't care.
You don't care. Go ahead.
All right, so
Should we break down the Monsters playoff game next, Mike?
we will. Don't worry. We're going to bring back Field Yates, who was
Good
on
luck to
yesterday.
my Monsters.
Field was
Oh,
awesome. He gave us his
man.
Donovan Mitchell takes, which was
I
a nice
know.
surprise. But, Bull, it's a special day. It's AJ's birthday, so happy birthday, AJ. And happy 50th anniversary at 10 Cent Beer Night. But it is your birthday, Bull.
Happy
so
birthday to AJ.
So we
14
decided
for
to come
him.
up with a special top 5 for you, Bull.
5 things.
On
Bull
Bull's
hates on
birthday,
his
on
birthday.
53, we came up with the top 5 things Bull hates
I appreciate that.
on his birthday.
I thought you were going to say top 5 things I like, which I would have found boring, but top 5 things I hate is much more interesting.
I
Things
hope
are
you hate
people.
this, Bull. These
people?
are things. Not these are things that are all kind of show related. This is not
Okay.
big picture. You know, there's a lot of other things we could have done. A top 600 of just big picture things Bull hates.
By the way, here's a new one that you won't have up there that's been driving me crazy lately. When people say anyways, add an S to the end
Instead of anyway.
instead of anyway. There's no word. Anyways is not a word.
Anyway.
Or people that say especially. There's no X in especially.
Especially. I don't think I've ever said that. Especially.
Especially.
All right, anyways, let's get
Go
into
ahead.
this top 5. All right, number 5 on the things Bull hates
Yes.
in the UCSS world.
Oh, in the UCSS world. Okay.
Yeah, this is within the show realm.
Gotcha.
Because
Okay.
like I said, we could have done a top 600 of just
Oh,
overall
easily,
things Bull hates.
easily.
But in the UCSS
People that wear
world.
hats, like winter hats when
Yeah.
it's summertime.
Savannah
Piss those
James?
hipsters that piss me off.
You talking about Savannah James?
No, those winter.
No, they're
like
like
a
Sean
beanie.
hat.
A beanie.
The hat that Sean wears when
Like
it's 140.
summer,
yeah,
why are you wearing
the
that? You
beanie.
wearing that hat because you think you're cool or whatever it
beanie.
is. You're just a hipster doofus. Go ahead.
So number 5 is when Bull's trying to say something and he looks across the glass, and I'm saying, "Bull, hurry up!" And Bull has to wrap up a point very
Yeah, yeah.
quickly. He does not like when it's time to hurry up.
I love that picture. That doesn't happen that often, though.
No, listen, these are just.
But I agree. I do hate that. The rare times it does, it is annoying.
You don't like to be rushed?
I don't like to be rushed, no. I feel like I have a good pace for things, generally.
Well,
Unless I get really worked up and I'm like a lunatic. But that doesn't happen that often. And
I actually haven't seen. That's a lie.
I haven't gone crazy in a while.
It's been. No, it was like 2 weeks ago.
Really? When I go crazy?
And I said, I told you might have needed a 3 Musketeer bar. What was you mad
I
at?
remember.
I
But that wasn't. That was more.
You
that
was
wasn't me
on
going
one that
crazy.
morning.
Now I haven't gone like crazy in a while. Go
All right,
ahead.
number 4.
Yeah.
When we make graphics and we have a certain amount of characters that fit on a graphic, Bull hates when we abbreviate words. From
I
season to SZN, from games to GM. Bull wants it all spelled out.
That's right.
He doesn't like abbreviations.
And I like that you appropriately put GFX on there.
All in two.
Yes.
All in one.
Now, that's a good one. Definitely belongs on the list. I would have put the being rushed higher up the list than this one.
I'll be honest. We went back and forth on the order because it was trying to figure out your level of hatred.
Yeah.
But we were guessing your level of hatred.
I will tell you at the end what my order would have been. But so far, there are two things worthy of being in the top 5. Definitely.
In hindsight, I think this one should be a little higher. But
Okay.
Steve, take number 3. When we're putting pitcher stats on, and we use win-loss as
Yeah,
a
I hate
stat.
that.
Bull
That
despises
is way up there. I hate win-loss records. I actually, on my podcast, I don't know if it was the podcast or the Guardian show yesterday, it must have been the podcast. I did give a pitcher's win-loss record for the first time in forever, only because he started the season 9-0, and I just thought it was pretty unusual to have that at this time of the year. Go ahead, Mike.
Number 2. Bull loves this some days, but he hates it most. Any type of video highlight that comes out of OTA. Anything that has to do with OTA highlight content that we talk about, Bull despises.
See, I don't mind the highlights. I mind analyzing the highlights. I don't care. I'm fine with seeing the actual highlight. It's cool. But analyzing it
What
as
does
if it's
this tell
meaningful.
you? What does this tell us about Deshaun?
That I hate because it tells us nothing.
Yeah.
Speaking of telling us nothing.
Yeah.
The number one thing I know Bull hates more than anything else.
Summer League basketball.
You nailed it, Bull. Preseason and Summer League stats.
That's right. Oh, my God. Yes, that is. You guys did a great job with that list. You probably picked. I can't think of anything that I would have on that list. I would have definitely had a slightly different order. Your number 1 was accurate. I would have actually had Mike rushing me number 2. I would have kept baseball 3. I would have kept 4, and I would have moved I would have just really flip-flopped 2 and 5. That's it. But you guys nailed it.
And we have a bonus one.
Ooh.
Because it's your birthday, Bull. Happy 53rd.
Thank you.
The bonus content, things Bull hates. Steve, you can take it. Regular season basketball. Which is a very important part of the job. There are 82 games we actually have to talk about. And Bull does not shy away from his hatred of those 82 regular season games.
Well, I hate it because I'm forced to watch the Cavs in the regular season, and I don't want to, honestly.
No,
because I hate regular season basketball.
What is your thing this year? You know, last year was if the Cavs makes no moves in the offseason, you will not watch any regular season.
I'm going to watch. I say I don't watch. I do. I'm not locked in like I am to football and baseball and NBA playoffs, but I watch it. I have it on.
Okay.
But I'm not.
Jason, how does it feel to be locked in for 82 games?
Jason's not locked in.
I'm not locked in.
Who are you kidding?
I watch more than I miss.
No, I know. But they're playing the Orlando Magic in November. You're not locked in.
It's hard to. Now, there was a time where I locked in on all 82 games.
Ooh, that's painful.
I locked in on.
You talk about when you travel with the team?
Yeah. I locked on all 82, and they were the worst team in the league.
Ooh.
I said before, it's like digging up the body and burying it again the next night, and digging it up and burying it again.
That is brutal.
Even
the only thing worse than that is covering a baseball team that sucks. Imagine you're a White Sox beat reporter right now. How awful is that?
It's actually, I think NBA is worse because there's only 15 guys to talk to. That's it.
So
baseball's 20. I mean, it's not like that many.
So when they doing
still more than 15, almost double.
When they doing bad and you in house,
yeah.
If it's bad, how do you fish out the good?
It's not his job to fish out the good.
I thought it was. If you Cavs beat, right?
Oh, that's different. But No. But he didn't work for the team.
Oh, you wasn't I thought.
I never worked for the team.
I thought you said. I thought he was the Cavs beat writer at one point.
I covered the
but
Cavs.
not for the team.
I covered it for the newspaper.
Like Chris Fedor.
Yeah, except I had Chris's job except for the Akron Beacon Journal.
Okay.
And then when I first went to the Athletic.
Oh, so you was able to just say how you felt.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, well, it's not worth getting into. Yeah.
All right.
We have no super chat today, Bull.
Okay, no super
chat. So we're going to get right into what we're going to do in overtime. We'll figure out overtime later, but I know you
Yeah.
wanted to touch on this. It's part of what we're doing on Behind the Glass later tonight, but you had texted me over the weekend about the Caitlin Clark, Kennedy Carter flagrant foul, and I'm just going to give you whatever you want to take.
Yeah.
The floor is yours to discuss whatever you want.
So I got to say that I'm so frustrated by this situation because what we've done with Caitlin Clark, or not even with Caitlin Clark, with the whole everything involving Caitlin Clark is what we do with almost everything in this country is that we pick our camps and nobody can see outside of that camp. So the camp over here is any player can do anything to Caitlin Clark. They could punch her in the face. They could hit her with a bat, and it doesn't matter. Tough. Who cares? The other camp has put Caitlin Clark on a pedestal, thinks the other players should bow to her and kiss her ass every 2 seconds. And as usual, the people in both of these camps are idiots. Complete idiots, imbeciles, morons on both sides. As usual, the right place to be is in the middle. Here's the reality on the Caitlin Clark situation. Yes, she has brought a ton of attention to the sport. And I'm sure that the players on some level are appreciative. But they're also pissed off because they've been working their asses off for years, playing great, and a lot of people didn't give a crap. And now there's all these people paying attention to the sport that didn't care before, and we'd all be pissed off in that situation. However, you can't take it out on her to a point where you're playing dirty. If you beat up Caitlin Clark within the game, physical play, contrary to popular belief, these are not little girls here. These are badass women. They can take it. It can be physical. And if you beat Caitlin Clark and beat her up, and when I say beat her up, don't not literally beat her up, but if you're physical with her and you're beating her up during the game as part of basketball play, no problem with that. They don't owe her anything, even though she's created some popularity for the league. They owe her nothing in terms of kissing her ass. That's ridiculous that anybody would think that. On the other hand, people taking cheap shots at her that are not basketball plays like what happened this weekend, that's ridiculous. And it's even more ridiculous that her teammates did nothing.
I agree. That's the worst
Where the
part.
hell were her teammates there?
That was my biggest beef with the whole issue.
Exactly. So stop it. I put up a tweet about this. I got one person on one side saying I'm racist, that if it was a black woman, I wouldn't have said it. Anybody that knows me knows how stupid that is. I don't care. Listen, people all the time, and whenever I hear people say this, I roll my eyes when people say, I don't see race. You're a liar. We all see race. I know when someone's this or that, whatever. But here's what I can say. I see race because I'm not an idiot. I have eyes. We can see race. It's okay to see race. It's okay to have conversations about race. That's healthy. That's how we talk about it. That's how we learn. There aren't as many differences as maybe we think we are between race and religion and sex and sexual orientation. All these things. There's more things that bring us together than pull us apart. But the crappy people out there want to keep dragging us apart all the time, and that's not how it should be. And even though, of course, I see race and religion and all these things, here's what I don't care about. I never, and I promise you this is 100% true, and I'll stand by this to the day I die, I never judge people. There's a difference between seeing things and judging things. I don't judge people based on their race, their religion, their sexual orientation, their nationality. I don't care. You are what you are, and that's fine with me. I accept people of every race, religion, orientation. I shouldn't even say I don't care, because I do. I think it's great that we all come from different places and have different cultures and come from different backgrounds. It's beautiful, and I'm never going to judge somebody for that, for any of those things. I judge people when they're assholes. I judge people when they hate people because of their race or their religion or their sexual orientation. Because if you judge somebody for those reasons, then you're an asshole. It's as simple as that. So I don't care. Caitlin Clark happens to be white, and I commented on it. And I would have said the exact same thing if she had been black or Asian or Puerto Rican or Jewish. It would not have mattered. Anybody objectively looking at that play knows it was a dirty play. Don't tell me she took a dive. It was a dirty play, end of conversation. So there you go. That's it. Let's call it like we see it. So the one person called me a racist. I was pissed off. I didn't like that. I said that's outrageous. Obviously, people were defending me. And most of the people who were defending me were saying reasonable things. And then one guy defended me, and he made a racist comment in his tweet. I don't want his defense. He's an asshole, too. You go away. I don't block people. I mute them so they don't know I'm blocking them. That guy is awful. He's a terrible human being. Don't defend me with your racist. I'm not with you on that garbage. That's it. Let's call it like we see it. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can admit when she takes a cheap shot, and you can also admit that it's perfectly fair to, within the game, beat her up physically within legal basketball plays. Thank you.
Paul, real quick, we had a super chat from that rant.
Thank you.
Brody's bottom line says, did you have the same energy when Angel Reese got hit in the mouth?
I didn't see it. If I would have seen it, then I would. First of all, that's the problem. That's it. I just went through 10 minutes of saying rambling about it, and his response instead of saying, oh yeah, that was a cheap shot, and I also didn't like where's the energy? First of all, I put out a tweet. Until now, I put no energy into it. Number two, had I seen if Angel Reese took a cheap shot, which she
absolutely did.
I saw it was 100%. Then I got a big problem with that. Then suspend that player too. I didn't see it. I can't comment on every single thing. If I don't see it, how am I supposed to know about it? You can't get mad at me for not commenting on something that I didn't know that existed.
Sure you can.
Yeah?
It's 2024.
Yeah, right.
So I'm very mad at you for not commenting.
Show me the Angel Reese play. Jason says she took a cheap shot.
It's absolutely a cheap shot.
So then whoever hit her, I don't know who the player is, suspend her ass too. I don't care. We can't be giving dirty cheap shots. They suspend players in other sports. Let's go. And anyway, that's it.
I'll show you the play in overtime.
He said.
Because we have 10 seconds.
Okay. We'll see you on overtime. We'll continue this conversation. That guy, by the way, who was that Brody's bottom line? He's part of the problem. You're part of the problem, Brody's bottom line. You're not part of the solution. I'm part of the solution. You're part of the problem. That's it. We'll see you on overtime. Thank you. Thank you.
Peace. Making me laugh. Earl, shut up.
Right here, Earl cracking up in the background. Ooh, I'm sweating.